Good morning. It's now time for another edition of Freedom with Steve Nichols. Brought to you in part by Sam Dennis Law, personal injury attorney, methodical, prepared, and battle ready. And by Kilby Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, dental care for the whole family. Now, available on Facebook, YouTube, Discord, and freedomnetworks.com each weekday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Here's your host and last best hope for freedom, Steve Nichols.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Freedom with Steve Nichols, broadcasting live from the SGAwater.com studio in Valdosta, as we do every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Go to SGAwater.com and schedule your free water test. It's just good to know what's in that water you're drinking, that you brush your teeth with, that you bathe in. You can do that for free simply by going to SGAwater.com or calling them at 229-251-1100. Highly recommend those folks. Michael Weisenbaker more than likely will be coming out to do the test for you, and he does a great job. It takes about 10 minutes. So y'all go to that website, SGAwater.com, and schedule that free water test or call 229-251-1100. We also do the pledge and the prayer each and every day to start Freedom with Steve Nichols. That's near and dear to my heart, my faith, my allegiance to my country. I want to make sure I put that on full display, hopefully encourage everybody to do the same thing. The folks at Ross Automotive believe in that too. They believe in freedom. They believe in Jesus. They believe that the two go hand in hand, and they are of Cuban descent. Their forefathers, their grandfathers, grandparents, they were oppressed. The grandfather was a prisoner under the Castro regime, and they gained their freedom here in the United States of America, became full citizens, and they just have a strong belief that that America and that freedom is the way to go. And they can tell you some great stories. But they sponsored the pledge and the prayer. They're located at 432 Connell Road right here in Valdosta, Georgia, for all your automotive needs, no matter what it is, if it's major or small engine repair, tune-ups, just something going wrong that you don't know what it is. Maybe these check engine lights on. Maybe you need brakes. He'll check your brakes for free, give you a 10% discount. If you're a military veteran or currently serving in the military, doesn't matter what it is. If it's automotive, start at 432 Connell Road, Ross Automotive. Even if you pump gas in your diesel truck by accident. True story. Day before yesterday, I was involved in, not my vehicle, but someone I was with. And Ramon was able to get it thing back up and running in no time. So y'all check him out and support him and tell him thank you. He's also got a great area in the back, fenced off, high fenced off, that if you need to park a boat or an RV or a trailer or something like that out of your yard, talk to him about that too. He'll probably save you some money as opposed to some of these other storage facilities. All right, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for our lives, Lord. Thank you for the chance to get up and go at them, Lord. Sometimes we dread the day, Lord, but it's just a comfort to know that we have a chance to get up and go tackle it, go fight it, go face our issues, face our problems, face our challenges, face our family concerns, our health concerns, our financial concerns. We get a chance to go celebrate, Lord. Sometimes when we wake up and we've got somebody that has a birthday, anniversary, or just a milestone in their lives, Lord. But maybe the children are in school and have a special gathering at the school, Lord. It's just a blessing to get up no matter what's facing us, Lord. And let's not lose sight of that. Let's give that cheer to someone else. Tell her why we're happy in the face of adversity. Introduce them to Jesus Christ. Tell them the story and ask them to go to church. Lord, be with us as we go through our day. Special prayer for what we're doing here on our freedomnetworks.com. Lord, continue to bless it. Put your hand on it. Lord, put us in front of people that can help us each and every day, and put us in front of people we can help each and every day. Lord, we love you and thank you so much for everything you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, 229-469-1417. That is the Valdosta Transmission hotline. If you've got any kind of transmission issues, please take it to Valdosta Transmission. Lee and the gang will get you back on the road in no time. Back up with a full warranty, and they work with warranties too on vehicles. So if you've got an issue with your transmission, get it to Valdosta Transmission and tell them thank you for supporting Freedom with Steve Nichols. Again, 229-469-1417. All right. As predicted, Ron DeSantis won the Republican nomination for governor in Florida. I think he was running unopposed. I don't know who would have the audacity to oppose him in the Republican primary, but he will be facing off against former governor Charlie Crist, who was able to hold off able to win a race in the Democrat primary. So he'll be taking on Ron DeSantis down there. It's, him being a former governor. I think he was a former governor. I'm pretty sure of that. Going off of memory there, and I think it's the second time in 8 years he finds himself on the governor ticket. He used to be a Republican. He switched over to Democrat. The question is, will he be able to mount much of a challenge against Ron DeSantis? Some things that have happened in Florida. As a Georgian, I envy the voting base has switched, and for the first time, there are now more registered Republican voters than there are Democrat voters. That's a huge advantage. So the numbers are automatically on your side now in Florida as a Republican. There's been tons of people move into the state. So far, it seems that they have not only resisted some sort of outside influence and change over towards the blue side, it's quite the opposite. It seems like everybody that's moving there seems to be red. So it's tilting the numbers in favor of the red. DeSantis shouldn't have any problems defeating Crist. Polls show him in the lead. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Marco Rubio will officially face Democrat Representative Val Demings. She won her primary on Tuesday. Rubio was running unopposed. So that sets up a head-to-head clash between a long-time sitting senator and a fairly long-time sitting representative from Florida. So that's going to be an interesting race. Rubio has consistently polled at about 5.9% ahead of Demings. There was an outlier type poll that came out last week that showed Demings up. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Rubio holds that seat. But, we got 11 weeks before the election. November 8th is coming. I mean, it is rapidly approaching us, and we are going to see the effects of the campaign season. The rhetoric out there in the media, the spin, how are they going to be able to spin it? Officially we're still in a recession. Of course, the rhetoric out there shows that, or tries to indicate that, no, we're not in a recession. So if you go with that, we're not in a recession number, you still see many articles saying, hey, man, we're on the verge, we're on the brink. We will get another report before November 8th, I think. I'm almost certain we will. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll get some monthly reports for sure about what's happening. But the Democrats are claiming victory. They're claiming victory that they've passed the Inflation Reduction Act. And what that has done is, stop inflation in its tracks. It hasn't risen any, which is a win to them. It didn't go down now. It didn't go down from the catastrophic rise we suffered, but it didn't go up. That's a win in their world. They're able to convince their moronic base that that's a win. We see that, jobs, the job situation, they added 500,000 jobs to the economy last month. That's a good thing. It doesn't matter who you are. It's a good thing. Still way down from the numbers of jobs lost during the pandemic. So I don't know how much headway or how much credit goes towards any politician in that scenario when it was going down or when it's coming back up. I think you can blame the success or the failure of the way the COVID situation has went. That's just my opinion. Now Biden's on the cuspis of forgiving billions in student loans in the hopes of currying favor among those voters to go out and vote for him. I don't think it's going to make any difference in the number of voters. If you are a voter who's influenced by whether or not he wipes out your student debt, you probably Democrat to start with. The question is, are you going to go vote? So I don't think that's too big a deal. One disappointment for me yesterday, I was kind of hoping, I didn't watch it, but Jerry Nadler, who the little short, stubby, fat, suspender-wearing, moronic, sicko Democrat representative from the 12th district in New York. I can't stand him if you hadn't figured that out. Anyway, he was in a pretty serious race against Carolyn Maloney. They had redrawn the district up there and put them head to head, and I was hoping that she could beat him. Now it's like two mules fighting over a daggum turnip. I get it. They're both Democrats, but I just did not want Nadler to win. Now, there's no difference as far as the vote, the seat, whatever. I just wanted him gone. I just don't like him. So anyway, good morning to everybody. Renee says, I believe it's $10,000 forgiveness. Well, we don't know the details. He ran on a campaign of getting rid of $10,000 for everybody that made $125,000 or less. So we'll see. No, he did not lose. Nadler won. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about this morning? Trump, I read yesterday, but let's go to the phone line and see what's on your mind. Good morning, caller. What's up?
Hey, good morning, Steve. How you doing?
Doing good, Theo.
I saw that the New York race, they had a special election between Democrat and Republican, and the Democrat won fairly handily, even though it was more of a Republican district. They are so liberal up there. There is nothing that either of those two yokels could have done except fight each other, and they'll win the general election with ease.
Yeah,
they're horrible.
It's New York.
Yes, openly so, but
yeah, it's New York. They're gonna win it.
Always, and and keep your eye on AOC. Look, she could be president someday.
She could.
If that twerp Ossoff can win down here, she surely can win the presidency.
Yeah, Ossoff surprised me. I can't remember what the bill was. He actually voted. Against one of the Democrats' pet bills here. He sided with Republicans and voted against it here a while back. I can't remember which one it was, though, but that was kind of a shocker to me. So I wouldn't lump Ossoff. Now, he's a Democrat. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. He just happened to land on the right side on that vote. But he's a terrible Democrat. But I don't know that I'd put him in the AOC category.
No, nobody's in the AOC category. But the more radical they are, the more popular they get. Yeah. So I'm surprised that Ossoff would even blemish his record by voting something against his party. They reward that. So I don't know. And I'm still keeping an eye on things here in Georgia. And Steve, I know I'm beating a very dead horse here, but it's still radio silence. It just is. I hope like you said, they're supposed to start coming online, but so far they're just. You have to wonder where all the contributions are going to. Probably,
my thing is I can't agree or disagree. Okay, I don't know, because this is what I know right now. All I know is in my life and my habits, I don't hear ads from any of them to any great extent right now, and I think that's solely because of my habits have changed since the last election. Yeah, I don't listen or watch the things I used to watch. Fox, CNN, MSNBC. I used to watch shows at night on television occasionally, or at least have it on in the background. So I would be inundated with television ads from various candidates. And I don't know if they are doing that or they're not, but I know this, I'm not hearing them, and I know why. It's because I don't watch it anymore. So
right.
It's not just Republicans. It's not just Brian Kemp. I'm not hearing anybody's ad. That's just me and my lifestyle. There's an answer out there. You'd have to go find it and see if anybody's spending any money right now. I can find that out with one phone call to Kim at Black Crow and just say, hey, she actually reached out to me the other day and asked a question of me. So I could ask her if they are getting any ad buys in right now, because that's a huge revenue stream at the radio station. They look forward to the election seasons. It's literally a big part of what keeps a radio station afloat is those political ads. So I could ask her now. So I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, and we'll have to see if they'll start buying ads to satisfy the masses. But I just,
well, DeSantis, Ron DeSantis isn't running a lot of ads. I just got an email or message from somebody in Florida said he's not running a lot of ads. It ain't a money issue with Ron DeSantis. He set a record $132 million is what he has raised.
Right.
So he's got the money to run them, but maybe it's just a little too close. And you also got to remember in a lot of these, not Georgia, but in a lot of these states, obviously like Florida, they just had their primary yesterday. New York just had their primary. So I think now, as of today, the official season kicks off. We're 11 weeks out. So I think you'll probably start seeing them, but you're going to see them. There's no doubt about it. You're going to see the ads. They're working on ads. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Oh, listen, that'd be a great job. I'd love to have the job of running ads. It would be cutthroat, devastating. Heck, you'd want them. Their own mother would slap them. That's the kind of ads I want to see.
We see them every year. That's politics.
Exactly.
They're not going to be any better or any worse. They're just going to be the status quo. They'll do the attacks. You'll even see absolutely false ads come out.
Right. Good.
That's what I like. And nobody will do anything about it. They'll just say, no, that's wrong. And that's why I wouldn't fare good in politics, because if somebody, I always go back to Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. This is why I can't run, because if somebody called my daddy a liar, I'd Will Smith his ass right on the stage, right in front of everybody. Now, I'd be criticized, and they'd say, well, he resorted to violence, but you ain't talking about my daddy. You know what I mean? You ain't going to talk about my wife, my daddy, my children. You're not going to get away with that. I'm not just going to yell back at you. I'm going to whip your ass if you do that to me. That's why I can't run, Theo. That's why we can't have Steve sitting in the chair.
I know we can't have nice things, can we?
No, we
can't. I tell you. But I want to see, especially on the R side, I want to see more cold-bloodedness. Mm-hmm. No more Mr. Rogers. No more sweet.
I don't think they've ever been nice. I mean, there was some shit, man. When Kemp ran against Abrams the first time, man, he had some. They both had nasty ads out against each other. Terrible.
That's what I see. Politics is not. Democrats correctly treat politics as war. Mm-hmm. Republicans, as a whole, not all, treat it as Queensberry rules of engagement. Pillow fights, that kind of thing. Look at Mitt Romney back in 2012. They tore him to pieces, and he never fought back. That was the reason why we had to go with Trump. And I am a Ron DeSantis guy, by the way. You know that. Mm-hmm. I think he is what we're going to need. Love Donald Trump, but it's time for him to retire.
Yeah.
Just say. So anyway, listen. God bless you, Steve.
All right,
but
man.
I want to see blood, baby.
Appreciate it, Theo.
Bye-bye now.
All right, bye-bye. Theo's into the entertainment aspect of politics, evidently. I want to know what you can do for me and how you're going to do it. That's what I want to know. I don't need you to spend your dollars telling me what a bad person the other person is, or how many people they've slept with, what agencies they are linked to. I need you to tell me, what are you going to do? Every time I get a politician on, most every time, I will say this, Burt Jones, when he came on here recently, He didn't do it, and I give him props for that. Now, he filibustered and he talked a lot. That's just what a politician does. But he did not spend a lot of time. I don't think he said one negative thing about his opponent. He just sat there and told me what he wanted to do. That's what I want to. That's what I want to know. I don't need the mudsling. I don't need Raphael Warnock telling me that Herschel Walker was or was not an FBI agent. I don't care about that. What I need to know is what he's going to do. What has he done? What is Herschel going to do? That's what I need to know. I don't care about all that other crap. I just don't. That's me. Now, some people put a lot of weight into that. That for whatever. That's great. It just don't resonate with me. I don't care if you've had locker room talk on your record. I don't care. I want to know what you're going to do to preserve my rights and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and how you're going to do it. How are you going to govern? You're going to spend a lot of money. You're going to try to be nosy and get into my rights. I think those are the things that I want to know. So anyway, 229-469-1417. There's some issues buzzing around with Trump and the way he's handling his reaction to the raid at Mar-a-Lago. He's requested a special master to basically inventory everything. That's usually done to separate attorney-client privileged documents. Some are viewing this, and I think there's some validity to it as I've studied it. It can be, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it can be portrayed that Trump is admitting that he has certain documents by wanting them recorded by the special master. Why is that relevant? Well, because it could be an acknowledgement that he has the documents in the first place, and that he, by trying to get them marked attorney-client privilege, he's it's a de facto admission of saying, hey, I got it and I shouldn't have it. Whether that is true or not, that's not what I'm arguing. It creates a situation for an attorney to jump on to try to sway a judge or a jury over to that side. This is going to get terribly interesting. There's plenty of precedent out there for the defense team to get in front of a judge or a jury and say, well, we have established that, yeah, it's not proper maybe to have this document, but James Comey said the same thing about Hillary Clinton and stated that there's no prosecutor going to prosecute that. So, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my question is, what changed? If we weren't going to prosecute it then, or that there was no prosecution likely to take place for what I would argue is an even more egregious offense committed by Hillary Clinton, I'd move to throw this out. It's partisan politics, and this is a dangerous time for our country. It really is. I believe that it is. I don't know. 4 family members dead in a parent murder-suicide incident in Massachusetts. That's terrible. Why Democrats have a good chance of winning the Mar-a-Lago midterms? That's an opinion piece on Fox. I read it last night. Politics change. The political climate shifts at the speed of light, it seems. Just a few weeks ago, we were all sitting here. We weren't wondering if the Republicans were going to take control of the House and the Senate. We were simply wondering how big a margin of victory that it would be. Now we're sitting here saying, I don't know that the Democrats don't pick up a seat in the Senate. And are we going to have enough to flip the House? Right now, the polls and the best guesses indicate that the Senate is a toss-up and that the House will go Republican by, a smaller margin than it would have a few weeks back. That is the best guess right now. So, things happen that shift the narrative. Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court decision that affects a woman having an abortion, has had a huge effect on this. I underestimated it. I'm still in awe and in shock that that many people are against human life and that they value their position of being anti-life so strongly that they are willing to disregard inflation, gas prices, wages, taxes, violations of rights. They're willing to forget all that because they want what they call the right to kill. I'm blown away by it. I'm saddened that our country has turned to that level of evil. I'm not really surprised, I guess, but I guess I'm shocked at the magnitude of it. I guess I had my head in the sand. So I don't know. I mean, you see the guy in New York, he was running for a House seat in New York. He seized on when he saw the Kansas vote. They put it to a vote in Kansas. In Kansas. Okay, not New York City, not LA, not Atlanta, not Baltimore, not Chicago. Kansas. The majority of the people that voted in Kansas believe that a woman ought to be able to kill a baby, and it ain't none of your damn business. That's basically what it says to me. So the candidate in New York seized on that, and he ran his whole campaign. On, if you elect me, I'm going to try my best to make sure that in the state of New York, if you want to kill your baby, you can have at it. Oh, man. Did you hear that the brother of one of the service members killed in Afghanistan last year just died by suicide? He never got over his brother's death. That poor mother lost both her sons. Pray for her. I did. It's even worse than that. He shot himself at the memorial service for his brother. Absolutely horrific. Terrible. Lucy Arnaz, daughter of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, I thought it was Arnaz, but it's Arnaz on here, talks California's homeless crisis. It's everywhere, she says. This is the one I was talking about. Democrat Patrick Ryan wins New York special election in swing district running on the abortion message. I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. Ulster County Executive Patrick Ryan, a Democrat, has won a special election to represent New York's 19th congressional district, where the candidate made the race a referendum on the Supreme Court's abortion rulings and a possible preview of November midterms. Ryan will fill the seat formerly held by Antonio Delgado, the Democrat who resigned to become New York's lieutenant governor this summer and serve as representative for district until 2023. The matchup in the Empire State District, which covers New York's Catskills and mid-Hudson Valley regions, may serve as a sign of what's ahead of Republicans in this fall's midterm elections, as both candidates brought opposing priorities to the forefront. In the final week of campaigning to represent the 19th, which President Biden carried by less than 2 points in the 2020 election, Ryan, an Army veteran, said during a campaign rally in Woodstock that he hopes to send another message as the national spotlight starts to shift to Democrats. Think about the message sent in Kansas, he said. Think about the message we can send right here. How can we be a free country if the government tries to control women's bodies? That's not the country I fought to defend. You lost. That's infuriating. It makes me sick to my guts that a man served in the army of the United States of America with that twisted ideology he has. What you fought for is the freedom of that baby in that womb, not the freedom for the woman to kill the baby in the womb, you freaking moron. Are you serious? I mean, that is sick. I gotta move on from that. Now I'm gonna get in a bad mood thinking about it. It's absolutely sick and twisted. What happened to that man? What did his parents do to raise him? How did his fellow? Man, I don't know. Airline crew shortages, delayed flights leave passengers angry, frustrated. Worst travel experience ever. That's getting worse and worse and worse. I do not know what's causing it. I know what I read about, a shortage of pilots and this thing and the other. Of course, COVID. Is always an excuse. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
Doing
I finally
good.
made it out of Jayville yesterday.
Did you get your car fixed, or is it?
I got it back here.
Okay.
What a fiasco.
Gotcha.
But I got her.
10-4.
All right. I can work from home for a couple of days.
There you go.
I was listening to the show yesterday, and you were talking about, what were we talking about? Transgender, and you were really scratching your head about it, and it got me thinking. And I went to school for an hour last night on it.
Okay.
And you want to hear what I came up with?
Absolutely.
All right. Have you ever heard of androgen insensitivity syndrome?
It don't come up in my circles, unfortunately.
Well, when I started out with a Google search, and it sent me to this, and this is the most common. This is the most common diagnosis that results in this gender misidentification or gender dysphoria. And it's actually a clinical diagnosis, and it is diagnosed through blood tests and genetic testing. It's characterized by immature physical, or the genitals are immature. There's physical conditions associated with it, and it only happens to men. And this is a genetic disease that only happens to men, and it occurs in 1 out of 20,000 births. That comes from some 1990s literature. But we're hearing a lot more about it. And it's transgender. It's all over the news.
Sure.
It's everywhere, it seems. And you've noted that. We've talked about it before, how common it's become. I have a friend who had faced this, his 2 children reassigning their sex. He had difficulty with it. So it prompted me to search. I wanted to look at the medical literature and see. What I was suspecting is that there was going to be a surge in it in like the last 10 years. So I searched this androgen insensitivity syndrome, and it has a history all the way back to the 80s and 90s where it was discussed. And there's been a lot of evidence-based articles published on this. And from 1990 to 2000, there were 444 articles published. From 2010 to 2020, there was 624 articles published. From 2000 to 2010, 525 articles published. And none of that really jumped out at me. I was really expecting a big explosion in the number of published evidence-based literature on this, just because of how much we're hearing it in the news now, right?
Yep.
Like you were scratching your head about it yesterday. So I was kind of disappointed in the numbers. So then I went and looked, and I'm using the NIH database on this. I looked up the gender dysphoria. And in 1990 to 2000, there were only, in that 10-year period, there was only 68 medical articles published on gender dysphoria. From 2000 to 2010, the number jumped up to 102 articles. 40 more. but it doesn't really catch your eye, does it?
Nope.
Here it is. From 2010 to 2020, 1,408 articles in the medical literature were published on gender dysphoria. That's between 2010 and 2020. That's a 1,280% uptick in the number of published medical articles on gender dysphoria from 2010 to 2020, from 2000 to 2010. There, sir, in there lies the explanation. Now, I don't know what it is. If it's medical, if it's biological, sociological, psychological, natural, unnatural, supernatural, I don't know. But within that time frame between 2010 and 2020 lies evidence as to why so many young people are trying to reassign their gender. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah. And the question becomes, are they truly suffering from some sort of diagnosed gender dysphoria, or are they simply confused and reaching out to doctors more, saying, hey, I just feel like inside of me, I'm a girl and I need some help. I want to transition. And there's a difference between being clinically diagnosed with a condition and thinking you have a condition. So my question is, in all that, is the rise in the number of articles from 2010 till now, is that due to an actual discovery of an increase in those suffering from gender dysphoria, or is it simply an increase in the number of people declaring that they are confused about their sexuality and going in there and trying to undergo some sort of change? I believe it's the latter. And the reason I say that is because if you were to dig, I would suspect that you are going to find more and more people coming forward saying that, I wish my parents would have not let me do this because I regret it now. And if you suffer from gender dysphoria, which is a clinically diagnosed condition, as you have claimed through your research, which I accept, then you're off base saying that you think you're sick. You either are or you're not. You either have the condition or you don't. If you have the condition, that's one thing. If you don't, then why in the world are we letting people or are we lobbying to let people who are 13, 14 years old make their own healthcare decisions surrounding such a complicated issue?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And it seems as if this androgen insensitive syndrome and gender dysphoria are treated separately, because, and I say that because of the how static the stats are on the AIS. There just hasn't been a big increase in the published articles on that in the last 30 years. They have been increasing, but by about 100 every decade, and that's not much. But when I look at a decade that has 1,280% increase in the articles, something is triggering that in the medical community.
Right. Well, yeah, it's being triggered by a lot of things. Again, this is all speculation, but the media, the word is out that this is a thing. So if you got an immature, confused, struggling teenager, and they're seeing all around them this talk about transgender issues, maybe that's influencing them going out and seeking counsel on possibly transitioning. You see,
I'd be interested.
You see the swimmer, the dude that wanted to be a girl that got in the pool, started winning all this. I mean, all that recognition, all that attention that one person put on transgenders, it was monumental in this day and age of information. So to me, it's not a surprise that it increased. I'm not shocked at all at what you found. No, I'm not. I mean, I would, if you'd have presented it in a question and answer, in all honesty, I'd have probably said, I might not have went back to 2010, but I'd have went back to 2015, and I would have said, I bet you Troy, that the number of articles published from 2015 to 2022 exceeds the number of articles printed in the decades prior, all added together. I would have honestly predicted that.
I believe you're right. And I'd like to get Dr. Price's read on this. I think this androgen insensitivity syndrome and gender dysphoria, they're clearly two separate diagnoses. And maybe even gender dysphoria isn't really even a diagnosis. I'd like to know what a physician's read is on it, because this AIS, the androgen insensitivity syndrome, has a lot. You can scientifically arrive at that diagnosis fairly easy with diagnostic testing. There's blood tests you can do. There's genetic screening. There's tangible tests that give you indications. There's the physical examination. The physiology and the anatomy over the decades has been identified as being wrong. I mean, it's clear. If your testicles are in your stomach, it's pretty clear. This is a clinical condition. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things they do for it. There's decisions of sex assignment. There's timing of gonadectomy. We'll leave that one alone. Fertility, psychological outcomes, and genetic counseling is just some of the things some of the ways they intervene on this AIS. I'd be interested to know if that swimmer has been screened with any of this testing and what the results were.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
And this is strictly a male. This is a male syndrome. Only happens to males.
So there's no woman out there ever that was born that suffers from a condition that makes her think that she's a man. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. That's where when I went down that road, that's where I uncovered the gender dysphoria.
Okay.
And there were discussions about elevated testosterone in the females.
Now let me just break this down to a very simple thing. This is just when I'm applying just good old Hayhire boy logic to this situation. I look back at my life growing up. I'm going to harken back to the days on the playground at Hayhire Elementary. We played at recess, and the different guys out there, I can't speak about the girls, and you'll understand why now when I say this. You had different people out there. And what I mean by that is you had your stronger, more aggressive, more athletic, more, I don't know, just alpha type male guys out there. And then you had other guys out there that were, or were different. They were more feminine, maybe acting, maybe I don't want to sound like I'm disparaging them, but I'm trying to describe with adjectives that people can understand. They were weaker. In other words, they weren't strong, fast, aggressive. They were weaker, more laid back, more that their personalities, you could run over them easier than you could somebody like me, so my point of that is there was a difference. Okay. But never did I notice any of those guys out there. Never did I think for a moment that they wanted to be a girl or thought that they should be a girl. They just accepted themselves as what they were. And they went on to become successful. I mean, the overall assessment of everybody on that playground is on both category A and category B, you ended up in life with winners or losers. You saw both sides going to be doctors and lawyers, and you saw both going to be addicted to meth. There wasn't, but the physical difference, if I'm making any sense at all, you could just see the difference. If we were about to play dodgeball, they were the last kids to get picked. But if we were in the classroom and we were about to have a debate, they were the first ones to get picked. And I was over there hiding, there's a difference. There's a physical difference between one person to the next. And I'm wondering if the influence out there in the media, the talk of all this, the female swimmer, or the male swimmer that's swimming in the female pool, the male wrestler that's wrestling the other women, is all this stuff starting to influence that type of person possibly to thinking, man, I think I should have been a girl.
Man, you've opened up a can of worms there. I mean, and interestingly enough, the gender dysphoria, I found that the first article I found in 1990 was from the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry.
Mm-hmm. So
it's
in the mind.
Whereas the androgen insensitivity syndrome, I was finding that in endocrine journals, medical journals about the endocrine system,
physical,
your hormones and
physical,
and all your sex organs and all the endocrine organs in your body, and all the chemical changes that they are, all the chemicals, they're responsible for all the sexual function, a lot of your metabolism in the endocrine system. It's a very sophisticated system. I don't know anything about it, but I mean, you're exactly right. And look at the numbers here. I ran the numbers. There's 3 million births in 2020 in this nation, and if 1 out of 20,000 suffered from this ASI, that would be 180 individuals out of 3 million.
Only 180.
That's what I'm coming up with.
See, it's I don't want to see. Here's the thing: if somebody's suffering from something like that, that shit's real to them. Okay, I don't want to disparage it. It's real.
It's real.
Yeah, it's. I'm not disparaging that at all. But here's the thing: we can't run the country or make rules to satisfy a subset of only 180 people out of 3 million each and every year. We just can't do that. I don't know.
That's that again, that kind of population doesn't trigger 1,000 medical articles in a 9-year period. Okay. Not when for decades past, it was triggering a couple hundred investigative evidence-based journals into the malady. But I don't know either. I mean, I can give you the numbers. Clearly something has gone on in the last decade.
I know what it is.
Information I can point to that evidence. The evidence is clear, but what's causing it, I don't know.
I know. It's the hormones and steroids in chicken. That's what's doing it.
Well, I tell you one thing. You can't get a damn thing done out here in this business environment. It took me a day and a half to get home from Jacksonville when my car petered out.
Mm-hmm.
I can't rent a car. You can't rent a car and drop it off here in Valdosta anymore. You have to rent it and bring it back. Tow trucks wouldn't give me a ride to Valdosta because they're still under COVID restrictions, thanks to AAA. And man, it was a nightmare. But here I am.
It's a new world out there, brother. New world.
It is. It is. You can't get a damn thing done.
No, I know. I find it every day.
You have the money to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's been weeks I don't know that I could have got that car home. My budget's so tight. This happened to hit right on payday week.
Yeah.
And fortunately I had some money in the bank and some credit cards to get all this mess done.
Mm-hmm.
But hell, even with the money available, nobody will help you.
Let me tell you, majority.
A city of 1 million people, I can't find a mechanic to take that car to in 6 hours. I finally gave up and had it towed back here.
I always say that the majority of people, and I'm just saying across the nation, the majority of the people are one mechanical disaster away from utter disaster. In other words, a transmission, an engine. This car rental thing, I've not talked about it, but I am aware of it. I've got a guy that's been talking to me about it. There's a severe problem in the rental car industry. A lot of it's linked to being able to purchase new cars to put in the rental car fleet because they don't put old and undependable cars out there. So there's a shortage of cars. The insurances went through the roof. COVID restrictions and things like that took place. It's decimated the rental truck industry. That's going on. This pilot shortage. This is the main reason, I think, out of limited research, and just over the past few weeks, just very limited. One of the main reasons that they are having this shortage is age. A lot of the pilots are becoming older, and they're taking early retirement or going into retirement, and there's less of an amount of people going into wanting to be a pilot. It's created a shortage. Then on top of that, the pandemic hit. You had the issues with some requiring the shot, not requiring the shot. That's had an impact. There's other things, pay. It's just now it's created a situation where sometimes you wake up and say there were 2,500 flights canceled last weekend due to not having enough people to fly the plane, not having enough planes in the fleet, the age of the planes, parts. That was another big thing. The part shortage, creating a maintenance debacle because they couldn't get parts.
Yeah, how many times have we heard Big B talk about that?
That's right.
And that's the kind of thing people like him in those kind of industries can tell you. And everybody I talk to about our age says the same thing. I can tell you it's going on where I work. They're worried about labor. They've even began training their own people there. It's a large organization. They have the ability to train their own people. Fortunately for me, that creates more of a library a need if they're going to start training their own people. But yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, I hadn't heard that about the rental car industry. That just blew my mind that I couldn't rent a car in Jacksonville and drop it off here at their hub. That's the whole underlying concept of car rental.
Well, they want that. They got to have the car. They got to have the car back because they're short on inventory. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, they didn't get my money. You know what I learned to do yesterday and the day before? Uber. Never done it before, but I'm a pro now.
Did you Uber all the way back
home yesterday? Huh?
Did you Uber all the way back to Valdosta?
I Ubered all the way back here. It cost me $140. This whole experience that should have cost me $500 is going to end up costing me over $1,000.
Wow, that's crazy right there.
You damn right it's crazy. If it's a starter, that should be probably less than a $500 job. I'm going to be $1,000 out of pocket.
Well, you probably, in hindsight, shouldn't have ate that $45 Chinese lunch the other day.
That's when all my problems started, right there.
That's funny right there. All right,
I got off the damn baloney and went to that place, and it all went downhill.
Downhill from there. All right, man. I'm glad you're back, dude. Appreciate it.
All right,
bye-bye. That's funny right there. Good information right there. Interesting stuff. The pilot shortage, the rental car shortage, the cost of getting something done. It's all going through the roof. It is just all changing. And I don't know, man. Here's a good question I want to pose to the audience, because this is something that I want to hear y'all's answer. But Charles Shepard, he says, how many of you are taking COVID precautions at this time, or is it something you just live with and decided to hell with Fauci and fools? I'm going to live my life. At my house, we decided to accept the risk and carry on. Where are y'all at on COVID? Where y'all at right there? Do y'all think about it? Do you take precautions? Do you wear a mask? Do you avoid crowds? I mean, where are y'all at? I mean, I think I know the answer to it, but I'd like to hear some of the reactions to that. I think that's a good subject there. Has it changed your life? Has it changed the way you do things? Do you wash your hands more frequently? Do you keep hand sanitizer with you at all times? What has it done? How's it changed you? And that perspective, is it shaped because you had COVID, or someone you knew had COVID? Do y'all pay any attention to it? Roberta says still wash hands only. Bobby says I'm triple vaxxed and I live my life as usual. I want to hear some of your opinions on that. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind today?
Good morning. Driving my life away.
Driving your life away.
Isn't there a song like that? I'm not a country fan, but
By
anyway,
Eddie Rabbit, yes.
that's right. I mean, I had a stint of country music in my life, but it didn't last. A lot of things don't last in my life.
I hear you.
We won't go there. As far as COVID, I mean, I had it very, very early on, and I think you knew that way back when,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. But you know what I do for a living, and now all these stores, and some of these stores are not the best. I've always kept a hand sanitizer in my truck and in my trailer that I work out of. That was even long before then. But other than that, I've done nothing except work and live my life, other than when I was sick briefly, and I had a brief flight scare, but nothing like a lot of people had. So I just do my thing, still do, still will, and got to work. I didn't wear the mask unless I was actually absolutely forced to, because I have asthma and it impeded my breathing ability, so I didn't do that. But other than that, I just have been carrying on, and I don't even think about it.
I know what you do to live. For a living, you're in and out of stores all the time. Have you noticed any? Do the stores seem to have adjusted down and seem to accept it more, or do a lot of stores still have precautions in place, or 6 feet apart, please wear your mask? What are you seeing out there in the field?
I see some that have the signs up, but nobody goes by it. I work some stores where I'll see people 50-50 with masks, and some of these bigger stores, Tallahassee, I've got a Piggly Wiggly on the south side. It's 50-50 with masks, but there's no mandate whatsoever in the store or on the. There are some signs on doors, but I think they're from the original whatever. Just left it up.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
I don't hear. I've never been told to put a mask on, and I couldn't tell you how long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever been told. Period. To be honest with you,
I have.
Other than going to the doctor's office, I knew that.
I was told I think I'm trying to remember. I think the only time that the one that stands out and to me is Best Buy here in Valdosta. I was walking in there one day, and as soon as I opened the door, the guy says, "You got to have a mask on to come in here." And I said, "Well, I don't." Yeah. I said, "I don't have." Excuse me, I don't have one with me. He says, "That's no problem. We'll furnish it, but you can't come in here without wearing it."
Well, see, you should have costed him. See?
Mm-hmm.
No, just kidding. Sorry.
So anyway, me personally, I wouldn't have worn the mask given the opportunity not to wear it, but I didn't have no problem visiting their establishment and following their rules. I needed a cable in there, so I put the mask on and went and bought it. Not that big a deal to me. The Home Depot and Lowe's,
do what you need to do. It's fine.
Home Depot and Lowe's, they had a policy, and I was there. I'm there all the time, right? So they had a policy that you're supposed to wear the mask, but I never did, and nobody ever said, "Hey, you got to put your mask on." So even though they had the policy, they didn't enforce it very well. But
I think
to answer my own question,
and it kind of faded away in Lowe's and Home Depot.
To answer my own question, do I do anything different at all? I can honestly say the only thing that I pretty much notice in my own life that has changed me, I do indeed wash my hands more often. I do that. It's just a habit now. So which is a good habit. I wash my hands more often. But as far as if I go in the store and come out, I don't use hand sanitizer. I think it's a great thing if you do, but I just don't. It just hasn't changed me dramatically. It doesn't change my life. My son had it. I treat it now as if, it's a part of our lives. I might get COVID. I might get the flu. I might get a stomach virus. I might get bronchitis. I might get this. I don't treat it no differently now. Right or wrong, that's the way it is. So
yeah. I had a stomach bug the other day, and it was like half a day's worth, and that was it. Moseyed right on the rest of my life. I honestly believe I was ridiculously severe asthmatic like you wouldn't believe. Up until I was 8 or 9, I spent over 50% of my time in the hospital, oxygen tents, and 2 or 3 IVs in me at all times. I mean, it was that bad.
Goodness.
And I think since I graduated, before I graduated in 79, I've been in the route vending sales business. And I think all these years and decades of working in and out of these stores, in and out of this weather, I think my body has built up a nice immunity to a lot of this crap because I've been around it constantly since way back when, So
Yeah.
I think that's helped me. I mean, there's people that stay inside all day, and if they go outside and go to a place where there's a lot of bugs, it affects them quicker and harder because their body hadn't been exposed to it as much.
That's right.
That's just, everybody's body's different the way they handle things.
Yeah, some people get sick more often than others. We just made that way. So, but anyway, I appreciate the call, brother.
Yeah. On one real good side note, Renee told me a story that a worker that was a home working from home full time, didn't have to go into the place, and it wasn't a medical worker. She said won a lawsuit because they got fired for not taking the jab, even though they never ever stepped foot in the establishment where they worked for, and they won a lawsuit because they were fired from their job because they wouldn't take the job, even though they never left their house for work.
There was a group of nurses that won a $10 million judgment against the hospital that fired them or wouldn't let them come to work because they disagreed with taking the shot, and they ended up winning $10 million. So you'll start seeing more and more of these lawsuits come through, and the fact that we are where we are with COVID now is going to lend probably positive benefits to the people that stood by their rights and said, I ain't taking that shot, so.
Yeah, I think you're talking about all this other stuff in the past with gender euphoria and everything else. A lot of it is agenda and media driven, and I'm afraid that I don't know if the end times are tomorrow or 100 years after I die. Yeah. But I think it's all part of whatever God wants to have happen. Eventually, it's going to happen, and it won't be pretty at the end, I'm sure, for many. So
no, it won't.
I don't know, between somebody like Joe Bacanova and his talks on the church, and from what I know and have read in the past, and what you know and have read in the past, and there's people like Steve Dace on Beck's program channel. They get into a lot of that, and you never know. But it's a crazy world, and why these people are letting this happen is there's some people in higher places pushing an agenda, and I don't know how we're going to stop it. So luckily, I'm old and probably won't be here to see it. So
10-4.
On that sad note, I'll hang up.
All right, man. We'll see you later.
Y'all have a great day.
All right, you did the same. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back and take your calls. You're listening to Freedom with Steve Nichols. I will be right back.
Well, 1 hour is gone. If you made it this far, you are an official freedom fighter. Don't forget to visit freedomnetworks.com. Click on featured advertisers and support these businesses. They can advertise anywhere. They choose this show as a way to support the effort of preserving and defending freedom. Now, back to the show with Steve.
Back on Freedom with Steve Nichols. Appreciate y'all joining us. Get to know the sponsors that we have on the program. If you're watching on YouTube or on Freedom with Steve Nichols on Facebook, you'll see the guys that and businesses that support us on the ticker down below. And we've added more. We've got for instance, Flight Land Management. He's can help you with mosquito control and things like that. He'll be on working on his commercial now. Hope to have him up next week, or at least to start September. So Harry, if you're listening, the meter will start as soon as that ad hits. I ain't forgot. It's just when you're from Hayhire and you don't know anything about electronics, you move a little bit slowly, especially when some of your help's in San Diego. But at any rate, we'll get that going. Charles Clark is listening on YouTube. He said he's the only one in the chat room over there. Yeah, for whatever reason, there's a I don't know how it works, but you can make comments and stuff over there on YouTube. I don't know if it works like Facebook, but Facebook is the preferred place to go on and make comments. No doubt about it. I don't know why that is, but appreciate everybody tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, Discord, and freedomnetworks.com. That's Freedom Networks. Networks is spelled Networx. There was Larry and I did about a 15-day look back on the website of the day. Y'all are listening to instructions, but I need you to visit that website. It had 45,000 hits in about a 16 day period there. We need that up tremendously. Hopefully we'll have it up over 1 million by the first of the year. That's visits. That's not unique individual visits. I think as far as unique individual visits to the website, there's about 2,500. So that's good, but nowhere near where it needs to be. So y'all, please, when you get off the show today, when you get through listening to Joe at 9:05, sometime tonight, just get on there and look. Just click on it, look, go through it. Just do that to get the number up. That's what I need right now. That's the way you can help me. That doesn't cost us a dime. So y'all do that for me. 229-469-1417. Whatever's on your mind, I want to know about it. Let's see here. See if there's anything I missed. Let's do the weather real quick. Cloudy skies this morning, followed by scattered showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon. High of 86 degrees. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain is 40%. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, low of 72 degrees. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain 50% tonight. And so we may get a little precipitation. Looking through the next few days, I'll just go down the list. 67% chance of rain, 56%, 45, 58, 51, 41, 54, 53, 58, 54, 53. So we're in a pattern that basically it might rain and it might not, but that's your Recycle Center Equipment weather report brought to you by Recycle Center Equipment, 900 Boundary Street. Equipment opens at 9 a.m. 229-563-5300. Give them a call. Fishing game forecast. They were biting last night at about 12:40 a.m. according to the graph. It was up in the good range, not excellent, but good. Should have had a good chance of catching some fish. And then high noon today is the peak up into the good range, about the same. And then 7:20 p.m. starting to get towards the evening fishing being pretty good. So if y'all want to try to get out and catch a fish, it'd be a good time to do it. Jimmy says, how do I get Freedom Works? They locked me out of Discord. Wonder why they did that. How did you get locked out of Discord, Jimmy? Anyway, you just go to the website, freedomnetworks.com. I'm going to text it to Jimmy so he can take a look at it. On there, freedomnetworks.com. And you just, you'll see the screen up there. You just click the button and start watching it. That's through YouTube. So you should be able to get right on there. But I'm wondering why they knocked you out there. You should be able to just click the link that I sent you, Jimmy, on your text message there. 229-469-1417. That Realtree fishing game forecast brought to you by Realtree and also Plantation Creek Real Estate. Reed Hall can help you buy or sell the recreational property of your dreams. Are you thinking about a lake house on Lake Blackshear? You thinking about a place to go hunting and fishing, or hunting, or just camping or hanging out? Give Reed a call. Plantation Creek Real Estate. He's got some excellent choices there. Plus, he can get his thinking cap on and find you something. Or if you're buying and selling a house, he'll help you out. Plantation Creek Real Estate. Reed Hall. If you need his number, give me a buzz. Also, go to plantation59.com. That is his wife's apparel shop. She has all kind of stuff in there for guys and gals. I'm just telling you, if you've got a teenage boy, you need to take him there. There's no doubt about that. Or a teenage girl, but also for men and women too. So you can check them out over there in Tifton. They're right by Tractor Supply. So y'all get over and check them out. Tell them you are proud that they sponsor our show. What's going on around the world? Remember, they're interested in the United States. Their lead headlines more often than not are about what's going on here, not what's going on in their own country. The top headline on the BBC, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation now, this is UK news. Their number one headline, Florida Democrats picked Chris to challenge DeSantis. They want to know what's going on in the good old US of A. And then you get into the body of the email or the website, and you'll see other articles like what China's drought looks like, the war in Russia or in Crimea. Not Crimea, the war in Ukraine. No charges in the U.S. police killing of Rayshard Brooks. That news broke yesterday. That's the shooting up in Atlanta at the Wendy's, and they weren't charged, and they shouldn't have been. I don't know why it took so long to figure that out. It was plain as the nose on everybody's face. But you know how that goes nowadays, right? Danny Beasley says, I watch on YouTube every morning, but have not figured out how to see the chat. Okay. I don't know, Danny, but maybe somebody can answer that question, or maybe I can try to find out. Kevin says, Christ will get blown out by DeSantis. People are very familiar with Christ in the past. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he beats DeSantis. I don't know about a blowout, because you still got to remember, Kevin, that the country's divided in half, 50-50, and it's going to come down to turnout. Right now, it seems like 8 weeks ago, I was saying that the turnout wasn't going to be good on the Democrat side. They're just not energized. There's no reason to go vote for what's going on now. But now they seem to be gaining some energy. So with, that's going to pull it closer. Probably not. They don't care what Christ did. They just don't. They don't care how good or how bad he was. Ain't got nothing to do with it. The main vote getting positive for Charlie Crist in the Democratic Party is that letter beside his name. That will automatically make it closer than it should be. The advantage is that Florida's thriving under Ron DeSantis. The advantage is that he's got $135 million to spend. The advantage is that there are now more registered Republicans in the state of Florida than there are Democrats. So there you go. So he's going to win. And if your definition of a landslide is 10%, I think you may be right. All right. Eric Frank says, Steve, I've got the website home screen on my phone. Okay, good. Appreciate that, Eric. What else? He's trying to look as old as I saw him on WST Weather this morning. Probably 6. I want to do that to you. Florida has 600,000 new Republican voters by Christ. Yeah, you're right. And they now, for the first time ever, have more registered Republican voters in Florida than they do Democrats. I don't think that's the case here in Georgia, and that's what makes it so tough. Have any of y'all noticed there seems to be an increase of Floridians moving to Valdosta? There is. A lot of people are moving in. We talked about this. I talked about this the other day with someone with the county. They're seeing an influx of people from Florida some of the reasons are taxes, property taxes. They don't have state income tax. That's always been a draw to Florida to get down there and get away from those state income taxes. However, property taxes have risen dramatically over the years. This is not something that happened under DeSantis. This is something that's happened just organically over the years in Florida. And then on top of that, the insurance industry is having a major problem down there. I think, and I don't know enough to really get into the weeds of it, but I think when DeSantis is reelected, I think there's going to be a clash between government and the insurance company, because the losses that insurance companies have taken over the past, decade or so, because of tornadoes, hurricanes, things like that, they're huge. Now, somehow the insurance company has turned a profit. They're making money, obviously. So the clash is going to come from let's see if I can explain this the right way. The government is going to have to look at regulating the insurance industry to the point it forces them to possibly write an insurance policy for people that, excuse me. It's getting better, I promise. But once I get kind of to a point, I get that certain upsetting thing in there that it comes out, and it doesn't have to talk a lot, but I'll go the rest of the day without coughing. So much improved. Wake up feeling better. So I know y'all concerned, and I appreciate y'all admitting it aggravates the snot out of me. I know it does you, so I'm sorry, but it'll get better. Anyway, the clash will be, okay, you got the heavy hand of the government telling a business that they've got to do this or they can't do that. So then you get into the fact, well, it's a corporation. It's not even a person. So I don't know where this is going to go. If you believe in freedom, you would think that the government ought to get out of the way and let private business function the way it's supposed to. The counter to that is my question is, well, how much of my tax money has insurance used to subsidize with, or have they? Is your $1 million condo on the beach, should it be mandated by the federal government that you can get insurance on it? The bank's going to require insurance. You're probably silly if you don't have the insurance. So what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know, but it's a major problem. It's probably the biggest problem that DeSantis will face in the coming years if he's reelected, which I'm sure he will. So we'll see what happens. I truly wish DeSantis would run, because one way or another, they're going to try to get Trump out of running. Yeah, they're going to try. I don't know. I think the biggest problem for Trump has nothing to do with Mar-a-Lago. I just don't. I think his tax situation in New York is going to be, if anything brings him down, that's going to be the one. I'm leery of the CFO situation with him taking a plea. He was charged with all kinds of stuff, and he took a plea, and he's willing to testify. So, and he's the CFO. So that might be I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm just saying that right there if I was Donald Trump, I'd be way more jumpy at this point about that than I would the Mar-a-Lago situation. Just me. MSNBC, what they talking about? It's been a rough 24 hours for Team Trump, they say. And that's probably something about what I was talking about earlier. But I'm going to try something real quick. I'm going to turn my microphone off and cough. Y'all tell me if y'all hear me. Did y'all hear that cough? Good morning, caller. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Good morning, sir.
What's happening, my man?
You're riding around again. Or sometimes it feels like steel, but it is what it is.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I just want to comment on what you're talking about with our government mandating insurance companies to do what they want them to do. We've already shown we don't have a problem with that. Look at Obamacare. Pre-existing conditions is one thing that comes to mind. Also, I kind of, as far as what you're talking about, people moving to Florida and building on the beach and that kind of thing. Here we go again with freedom and living and living and dying by your own choices and making your own decisions. If you want to build your house on the beach, that there's going to be a daggone hurricane going to come through there eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Do you buy the insurance? And if you're an insurance company, insurance companies also know that eventually there's going to be a hurricane come through.
It's a risk. It's a risk. That's what insurance is based on. The risk, the probabilities.
Exactly. So
mm-hmm.
if you want to build you a house out there on the beach, pay for the dang insurance
mm-hmm.
and pay the premium that the insurance company requires. I mean, you don't have to have a house on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
You can move 100 miles inland
mm-hmm.
and still live in Florida and be within striking distance of the beach if you want to go right down there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you want to live on the water, then pay for it. I mean, I don't expect me to pay for it. I mean,
mm-hmm.
and that's if the insurance companies are subsidized by the government. I do not know the answer to that.
Yeah, that's an easy assessment. But here's the problem. The particular problem in Florida is this: there's people that built houses down there. I'm just going to say 20 years. It don't matter if it's 10, 5, 20, or 50. But people that are living on the beach now that built their house on the beach, or it's not just the beach. Let's forget the beach, because when a hurricane hits Florida, it tears shit up way inland. Okay. So this is the problem right here. Let's just say, I don't know my geography real well, but everybody knows. Let's just say you live in a subdivision that's 25 miles inland. Okay. I'm thinking about Panama City. When that hurricane came in a few years back, I mean, it devastated stuff all the way up through Bainbridge. And when I say devastated, it did catastrophic damage over in Bainbridge. Literally right now, my buddy Ken Morey is still over there working, cleaning up from that hurricane. Literally right now as we speak. He's there today. All right. So what the insurance companies are saying now is that, you know what, we're going to pull out and we're not going to insure people in these areas. That's what they're insinuating that they might do. And many think it's a ploy to try to be able to lobby the government to subsidize them in the case of a hurricane. In other words, we're going to insure it partially, but the government's going to take up the rest of it if this happens. Now, in the meantime, when nothing happens, we're going to make all the money. And the government and the taxpayers is on the hook for any losses. That's what it seems that they're trying to do. So my point to that is people that live in Lynn Haven, Panama City, 30, 40, 50 miles in, they've been living there like my cousins and like my uncles in Panama City for all their lives, never had a claim. Now the insurance company in their infinite wisdom is going to say, you know what? You've had your insurance with me for 10 years, but we ain't doing it no more. So now, what is DeSantis going to do? Is he going to step in and tell a quote unquote private entity that, well, no, you will insure them? Or are they going to try to say, okay, well, y'all insure them up to a point. If the damage exceeds this, the government will step in and we'll take care of it. That's the argument. That's going to be the debate. That's what he's going to face in his second term. possibly?
Well, my personal opinion on that is there again, our government's gonna they got no problem telling businesses what they want to do, and that's both R's and D's.
That's right.
I like DeSantis, but I mean he's in the end he's still a R. He's still a politician.
That's right.
I mean what should happen in these United States of America is if insurance company A says, okay, you know what, we ain't gonna insure you, we're just gonna cut you off, we ain't insuring you no more, then Glenn and Steve Insurance comes up, hey, we got you back.
Yeah.
We'll insure y'all, and you roll the dice and hope we don't have another incident for another 25, 30 years. You and I can retire down on the beach.
There's measures in the insurance company that say, you got to have this much. I don't know the term, so I don't get hung up. But if you're an insurance company, State Farm, Farm Bureau, Allstate, Geico, Farmers, there's a balance. You got to have enough money on hand that you can pay your claims. So throughout these catastrophic storms, each one costs more, and that's not hard to figure out because rates of labor, rates of cost of goods, inflation gets higher and higher and higher. So you get premium increases, but what they're arguing, the insurance company, and I see their point, their rate of increase, I think, is regulated. I'm pretty sure it's regulated, but the cost of the losses and the replacements are outrunning their ability to charge enough to offset them. And then also you got the profit model in there. I mean, they're in business to make money. They're not in business to protect you. They're in business to protect them. Right. You know what I mean? So all that is factored in, and it's almost a runaway situation in a way that's really nobody's fault. It just is what it is, but
hang on, back up. You said they're regulated.
I think so. By either the state government or the federal government. They're regulated. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they're regulated. I'm regulated in the fence business, but to what extent on the rate increases, I don't know.
If you take away government regulation out of it, because they're saying, okay, you can only increase this much at a time, and only you can only increase it at this rate. So they're again the government's problem. I mean, if the government regulation, I'll tell you what would happen if they suddenly, if DeSantis says, you know what, we're getting the government out of this. If they overnight said we're deregulating the insurance industry, two things are going to happen. You either are going to be limited in the amount of coverage you buy, or it's going to be so expensive you can't afford it. Simple as that. If the regulation is taken up. And there's a reason why our forefathers only the rich people lived in Florida. Either the rich or extremely poor lived in Florida. I mean, in the grand scheme of our nation's history, that's why Disney bought his property down there where he did, because it was all junk land. Nobody wanted to live down there because of the hurricanes.
Yeah, it still seems to be that way in Florida. The wage gap is increasing between the bottom and the top, so I think it's still that way to a great extent. But the problem is, if we'd have followed the roadmap given to us by the founding fathers, I would argue that we wouldn't be in this position to begin with. Now that we find ourselves in this position, we can't subtly invoke the principles of the founding fathers to get ourselves out of it. We wouldn't be able to stand it. So we find ourselves in a conundrum.
That means a pickle, right?
A pickle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. We up the creek. Right. We up the creek without a paddle, brother.
And we did it to ourselves.
Yeah. So
well,
I don't know. I'm not well versed enough to. I've talked about it probably more than I should, but my point of it is, I think that's one of the key things that's going to be facing him in his next term.
I can't vote for him. I like him. I like what I hear about him.
Yeah. I would definitely vote for him if I lived in Florida. I have no problem. And y'all know how I am about voting for an R. I'd go up there and jerk the lever off that machine to vote for Ron DeSantis.
Agreed. Like I said, I like him. I mean, if I lived in Florida, I'd vote for him. But I live in Georgia. I ain't even going to send him no money because I don't believe in foreign powers interfering in our elections.
No, I don't like that either. I don't.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I don't have the money to send him, so I ain't got nothing to worry about on that.
Yeah, that part. That part. We got this recession going on.
That's exactly right.
We're on the verge of a recession.
Yeah.
Depending on your definition.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I did want to mention one thing that you and T-Rex was talking about, and I know he mentioned that you was, and me apologies, sir. I missed a good part of your show yesterday. I got not everybody. You really need to work on making your audience bigger. I want everybody in the whole land of Sogonofa to be listening to the Steve Nichols Show every day from 6 to 9.
There you go.
But it didn't happen. I had one of my buddies call me yesterday. You know, he's a driver. He was out late, run all night, and needed a little bit of help making it to the barn. So
I got you. Yeah.
He called me, and I walked him on in, kept him awake. Some of that safety stuff.
That's a good thing. Good decision. Good decision.
Try to help when we can. But on the whole, the rise in the transformer things, I think it's just you and I we didn't have the golf stage, you know, when we was in school. You know, we didn't have no golf people. But after, like in the 90s, you know, it seemed like there was a whole bunch of people running around wearing black and painting their eyebrows and dyeing their hair black and all that kind of stuff. I kind of, you know, just because, quote unquote, they wanted to be different, but yet they was trying to be like everybody else in that scenario. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason we've got what we've got going on nowadays with people wanting to, you know, be this way and that way, I think it's just because I think it's a fad. I think it's a trend. I think it's just something that they're wanting to do it because right now it's a popular thing. It's, you know, is our media the cause or effect of it? I don't know. You know, we can argue the points on that, but I think I think it's a fad. You know, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we leave them alone, they'll grow out of it. I think the biggest thing that we had, I can't remember exactly when the whole grunge thing started. You know, where everybody quit taking a bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I compare it to stuff like that. I mean,
well, you may be right. I don't. Time will tell, I guess. It's an interesting conversation, and T-Rex's investigation there was enlightening to me. It's the clash between. I think if it's psychological, okay, if it's an influence that makes them think something, then you're probably right. It'll probably be a fading thing. If it's physiological, if it's physical, if gender dysphoria is indeed, and I believe it is based on what I read and what T-Rex said, and even what Richard Marks has said, that caused me to go look these things up. Whether you and I believe in it or not has nothing to do with the fact does it exist, and apparently science has indicated that it does. So if it does, and here's the thing, if it's 180 people out of 3 million, then I submit to your point that not all 180 is physical. I think a portion of them, it might be just in that person's mind. They may be confused. To your point, they may actually be making a choice to be involved in a group, just like you'd make the choice to dye your hair black and become gothic, or quit bathing and become part of the grunge movement. But either way you look at it, if the statistics are true, the number of transgenders in this country is so small that I really am having a problem wondering how in the hell are we giving it, or why are we giving it so much attention?
And that's kind of, I'm not trying to say that what that dysphoria or whatever the word is not real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe there are actually physically people out there, with a real condition
mm-hmm.
going on. I'm not saying that's not the point, but I think there's, for everyone that is actual got that condition, there's 100 wanting to be like him.
That's what I was getting at too, and I agree. I don't know if it's 100 or 50 or 300, but yeah, I think it's just, it goes perfectly to the point you made. I think the point you made is something people want to belong to. We've had cliques all our lives. Back when you were in our school, we had the athletes, we had the preps, we had the rednecks, we had
there you go. That's me.
We had cliques, I mean, that's kind of been it's always been that way. Back when our parents were in high schools, you had those that, I don't know what they called them, but I'll call them greasers. You had the ones that slick their hair back and wear the leather jackets, and you had the ones that wore the poodle skirts, and this, we've always been that. So kids today are trying to find their clique, and some are choosing the transgender clique. Some are choosing the gay clique. Some are choosing the jock clique. Some things change, but some things stay the same. You're
exactly right, sir.
That's what I think.
I got a cool, speaking of the greasers, I got a cool picture of my daddy at the house. He's his school picture now. He's got on a white t-shirt. He's got a black leather jacket on with silver stars up on the collar, and his hair slicked back.
I bet that's cool. Hey, Richard Todd says back in California, where he's from, and we forgive him from being from California. We forgive him for being a Dodgers fan, but Richard's all right. Anyway, he says that it was jocks and goat ropers back home in California. Now, I know what the jocks are, but I'm going to need a little information on the goat ropers. What were the goat ropers, Richard?
Cowboys.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Goat roper. Okay. I was going down a more racist line there, apparently. But anyway.
No, that's a Cowboys.
I got you.
I have been in a few circles, like people that want to be rodeos and bull riders. See them out there. You used to see them a lot at the bar back in the day. They'd show up there with the hat on and the big buckle, and they dressed the part. But that I do have a friend that is he did ride bulls, and he actually made money off of it.
Huh.
He'd look at one of the guys. He said, "Yeah," he said, "There's one for the Junior Goat Ropers Association."
What was your dad's name, Glenn?
Farrell Tyler.
Farrell. Did you had an uncle, right? What was his name?
I've got two, Tommy and Raymond.
I thought one of them was named Raymond. Charles Shepard says that reminds me of Raymond Tyler, slick back hair and a black leather jacket and a motorcycle. So I think he might be talking about your uncle. Charles is the son of Buddy Shepard, if you remember Buddy.
Yeah, me and Charles are distant cousins.
Oh, okay. So you know who he's talking. I got you. All right, good. I just thought it was cool that he would mention your uncle there.
All them boys just like that.
10 folk.
Except Tommy liked to wear white breeches.
White breeches.
Yeah, he liked white jeans.
How about that? You don't see many dudes wearing white jeans nowadays.
Nope, but it's Tommy's thing. Tommy had on the white jeans.
He had his own style, no doubt.
He had his own style.
All right, my man. Kick it on down the highway.
We gone.
All right, see you, bye. Some of the standard criticisms coming in this morning, I see. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Mr. Nichols.
What's happening?
Talk to you a little bit about guns today.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, today is the day that the ATF's new rule on frames and receivers is supposed to go into effect.
Nationwide?
Correct.
Okay. What is the
however, on April the 26th was the date that they put the final rule in and opened up the comment period.
Mm-hmm.
And they received well over 250,000 comments, written comments.
Mm-hmm.
So on Monday, the ATS posted 12 what they term corrections, which are actually changes in the final rule,
Okay.
with it to go in effect today, with no time for review or comment.
No debate whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, I know one of the attorneys with Gun Owners of America has filed suit. I guess they're waiting for a judge to rule on it and find out. But it's more in your face crap from another government bureaucracy.
You have the high points of what the legislation or what the rule is governing receivers and that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, it's so much of it has got to do with these 80% receivers that they're not serialized. You buy them and you have to do 20% more of the machining to make them functional.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had one of these in your possession before today, then they're grandfathered in and you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Provided you don't take your gun to a federal firearms dealer or gunsmith for repair. Now, what if it's just, I guess maybe T3 may have a gunsmith, and if you had one of these guns and you took it down there because it needed a little something, and he was to fix it that day, then a serial number would not be required. However, if it were a more complicated repair and they had to book that gun into inventory, then at that time, your receiver would have to be serialized. And there's a process for gunsmiths and FFLs in this rule to go through to do that. But if you never need service on your gun that requires it to be booked in to inventory, then you're good. You don't. Now, after today, if you were to build a new one, my understanding is if it's a non-NFA item, which means it's a non-machine gun, non-short-barreled rifle or shotgun or suppressor, if it's a non-NFA item, you got 7 days to get it serialized. If it is an NFA item, then you have 1 day.
I'm reading.
I think the only NFA item that you are allowed to manufacture now on your own will be a suppressor.
The rule makes clear that the terms shall not include a forging, casting, printing, extrusion, unmachined body, or similar article that has not yet reached a stage of manufacture where it is clearly identifiable as an unfinished component part of a weapon. Example, unformed block of metal, liquid polymer, or other raw material. I'm reading.
Can I have an Excedrin, please?
Yeah, I heard that. I'm looking at this. It's a 61-page final rule, and I can't get past page 2 before my problem with it comes in, and it's the problem you called to describe. It says on page 2, reasons for change. The Department of Justice amended the federal regulation. I don't have to go no further than that. That's where my problem is. They unilaterally decided the regulation change was to remove and replace regulatory definitions of firearm frame or receiver. So they're changing the definition to what they want it to be, because the current regulations fail to capture the full meaning of those terms in their opinion. They are clarifying the meaning of firearm and gunsmith. They are providing definitions of terms such as complete weapon, complete muffler, silencer, multi-piece frame or receiver, privately made firearm, and readily for purposes of clarity given advancements in firearms technology. The department also amended ATF's regulations on marking and record keeping that are necessary to implement these definitions. Egregious Second Amendment violations right in front of our face. And what are we going to do about it? Not a damn thing.
You're right. Well, in the text, just to kind of clarify something, when they talk about a frame, they're talking about a handgun. When they're talking about a receiver, they're talking about a rifle or a shotgun or something other than handgun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when this stuff was originally all proposed on the serialization part of it anyway, it was believed that all the parts in a frame were to be serialized. All the parts in the receiver were to be serialized. That's the fire control component of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
It contains, the hammer, the trigger, and the striker for, for handguns. But that stuff, fortunately, is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
So that all stands the same now. If you happen to make a self-made handgun, then the frame of it is what will need a serial number. Same with the rifle, the receiver, just the housing for the fire control unit.
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, the whole design of the law is to track who owns what. You agree with that?
No joke.
They carefully try to walk the line and say this does not prohibit an individual from making their own PMF. It doesn't mandate unlicensed persons to mark their own PMF. It does not require an FFL to accept unmarked PMF. If they put the serial number on all the components, they don't need you to do that in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it seems to me. But
well, there's nothing good in it. There's some stuff that's not as nefarious as was once feared.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's supposedly it's going into effect today, but that still may be up in the air based on the lawsuit filed by one of the attorneys for the Gun Owners of America.
Yeah, maybe they'll enjoin it. Maybe they'll enjoin it. What it is, it's just it is like you said, it's not as nefarious as we thought, but it's still an infringement. It's an encroachment. It's a small step forward in their mission. And you add this little step up to the last little step up to the last little step. You keep adding those little steps, and then here we are, not being able to legally own a bump stock. And
mm-hmm.
you that wasn't grandfathered in. You can't have one.
Right.
Period. But everybody gave Trump a pass on that, but we just incrementally allow it to happen.
I stand to correct you, Mr. Nichols.
Uh-huh.
Everyone did not give him a pass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I didn't. I know you didn't, and I know I didn't. I've been very vocal about it to my own detriment. I get lit up like a Christmas tree when I criticize the Almighty. You know what I mean? But
yeah, and it's to me, it's not the bump stock itself. It's the process by which the bump stock was allowed to be used.
That's
as,
right.
The camel's nose under the tent.
That's right. Yeah, a bump stock's, in my opinion, I don't know if you'd agree or disagree, it's an absolutely stupid, useless piece of equipment, but that ain't got nothing to do with it.
Without doubt.
That's right. So
we share the same opinion of bump stocks. But anyway, that's where that's the state of the thing right now, and I hope I get more information that it's there's going to be a stay on it until they allow a comment period on the changes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, John, I appreciate it.
Sure thing, Steve. Have a great day.
You do the same, brother. Thank you. 229-469-1417. Renee says, didn't give him a pass, Steve. Yeah, a lot of people didn't. When I say everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. The majority of Trump backers explain that away, and they say, yeah, but. As soon as you say but, what you're doing is you're proving me right. Yeah, but he kept peace in the Middle East. Yeah, but he kept the economy good. Yeah, but whatever. She says that's bullshit. I support Trump, but don't think he's the almighty. Hate it when you say that. I mean, that's your opinion. I don't support Donald Trump because the man can't spell Constitution. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. That's it. I think Ron DeSantis can spell it eloquently. Is Trump better than Biden? Of course he is. Here we go again. If you vote in the lesser of two evil, Trump's your man. If you are hardline constitutional patriot, you don't. It's just that simple. It's just not mad at it. I get it. Ain't no big deal. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind today?
Steve, what's going on, man?
Richard, what are you doing, my man? I thought you had lost your voice or something.
I've been on vacation, man. I've got to go back to work now.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's my job to piss you off. Now I love you, Steve, and I feel bad that I have to do that. I just feel bad. So
no, you don't.
I
love you too,
I get
Richard.
paid the big money to do it.
Oh, do you?
Job.
Okay, all right. Well, lay it on me. Piss me off one time. I ain't heard from you in what, 6 months, and now you're going to call on your first call back and piss me off. I mean, why would
it's been a couple of months, and yesterday I started to call in, but I said, nah, I really pissed him off today, So I said, nah, I don't want to do that. So I wasn't in a pissing off Steve mood yesterday, but today I guess I'm in more of one. I guess maybe, I don't know. So
you're mad. Let me guess. Let me just guess here. You're mad because I have triggered your inner transformer nerve. Is that where we're at?
No, you haven't really made me mad or anything. I haven't really. I just logged on. I haven't been listening to really what you've been talking about this morning. I did listen yesterday, of course.
Well, we talked about it yesterday and today. But anyway, what are you mad about?
And I have a message for my friend Sandy Reeves.
Yeah.
Sandy, girl, drop it like a thotty. Drop it like a thotty. That's a lyric from Beyonce's song Church Girls. Drop it like a thotty.
What is a thotty? I've never heard of the song. I saw them talking about it. I don't know what's a thotty.
It's a type of girl who's kind of promiscuous and
a whore. Is that what you're talking about? A hoe?
Say that, but
slut.
Kind of dresses provocatively and that sort of thing, and tries to attract what they call a daddy. She's trying to attract a daddy, and what a daddy is a guy who's going to take care of her financially.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. You're describing a whore. Let's move on. I got it. A whore. Go ahead.
And so I actually went and listened to the song yesterday because I didn't know, I hadn't really heard the song. It's not a bad song. Sandy reminds me, Steve, of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, because there, my grandfather was a sound engineer and he did a lot of work in the Soviet Union back during that time. But when you recorded something there, you had to get the actual music score, the lyrics and everything approved by a government censor. And then you had to have the recording itself approved and all that. And so much music recorded outside the USSR was banned. So much good music was banned by the government censors because they determined it to be damaging to the culture of the various Soviet republics.
Well, let me tell you where I think this. Well, I think Sandy differs in this. And I could be wrong. You feel free to correct me, and Sandy can call and defend herself. But if I remember correctly during that conversation, I don't recall Sandy saying that the government should ban Beyonce's song. I think the point of her conversation is that we as parents and mentors and role models, that we should not be allowing our children to listen to that and encouraging people not to listen to that, looking to better stuff. She never once called for the government to regulate the music industry in the manner in which the USSR did so to your grandfather or whatever you're talking about.
Well, she said that what she said was you shouldn't listen to that song. You shouldn't listen to that music. You shouldn't listen to it. And then she said,
yeah, that's her
you're a
opinion,
Christian,
right?
You shouldn't listen to it.
Yeah, that's her opinion. But again, she never called for the government to intervene and do that. So I don't get what you're saying.
Well, I believe if Sandy, see, I believe it this is my opinion, based on things she's said over the years, that if she had her way, The Handmaid's Tale would be real and we'd be living in it. You know, based on what she said. I mean, Steve, you don't think if Sandy had her way, all this music and stuff that she talks about, movies and TV series, and especially pornography, would be completely banned and illegal?
I don't know. Knowing Sandy like I know, I believe if she were elected president of the United States today, that she'd uphold the Constitution, and in that she would not ban pornography. She wouldn't ban nasty lyrics. She would simply use her bully pulpit, so to speak, to encourage everybody not to do that. But I think she'd follow the Constitution.
Maybe she would. Maybe I'm wrong. She can call in and say that I'm wrong, that she would never ban anything. She would never censor, music and movies and things of that nature.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you say that, let's just say pornography, which you are, way more about than I do, but let's just say that they allowed pornographic DVDs to be readily available in the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade at the high school. And somebody like Sandy was elected and they said, look, we are going to ban the availability of pornographic material in the high school library. Would you be screaming that that's censorship? Would you be screaming that that's a violation of anybody's rights? Or would you simply say, like a common person, yeah, that's right, we shouldn't have that in there. They can go get that after they graduate?
Well, anything pornographic under Section 2257 of U.S. federal law is banned to be possessed.
It's not 2257. It's 2256. Come on, man.
Pornography is banned. I mean, you can't purchase pornography or access pornography unless you're 18 years of age. You can't participate in the production of a pornographic production or anything like that.
So my point is,
that's just the law.
I get it, but my point is, if you were elected, would you change that law? Do you think it should be available at the high school level? Would you seek to change that law because you think it's violating someone's rights?
No, I wouldn't change that. I don't think pornography should be available to anybody under 18 years of age.
Okay, so why do you think that Sandy would ban the sale or production of pornography to any adult? What makes you think that she would rule or govern against the Constitution? I've known Sandy for 5 years now, 5+ years now. Nothing in her commentary has ever indicated to me that she would violate the Constitution. I know she's against porn. I know if she could blink her fingers and rid the earth of it, she would, just like I would. And just like I hope you would, which I'm sure you wouldn't. But there's a difference between wishing that people wouldn't watch porn and banning someone's right to go make a porn movie and sell it for a profit.
Yeah, well, maybe that's true. She'd have to answer that question.
So I'm still confused.
There's a lot of things
let me look right quick.
I've had you make happen.
I've had you on.
Ending porn would be way down the list, and if a lot of those things that's up the list, it would happen. There wouldn't be as much of a need for porn. I know that, but
well, my point is, or my question to you now is, you teased me and you got me all excited because you said you were going to piss me off this morning, and I'm not mad at all.
Well, I'm just getting warmed up.
Well, come on, give it to me. I'm ready to get mad at you. I'm ready to yell at you, Richard.
Yeah, but I don't think porn should be available to people under 18. It's not available to people under 18. Now, what some schools are doing, and let me give you an example. They're banning certain books that have certain sexual references that is not pornographic. There's a difference in something talking about sex or mentioning sex and being pornographic. Just because something talks about sex doesn't make it pornographic. And a lot of schools are banning things that just mention sex, whatever. And did you know that one school under that standard, they set up the standard where that, and they would run the text through a computer algorithm that said a book had to be banned or not based on sexual content in that book. And did you know what a book got banned in that school system?
What?
The Holy Bible.
Okay.
Because of
who banned
references to sex. There's
who
many of them in the Bible.
Who bans these books at these schools and in these districts? Does the school board do it?
Yeah, they set up a standard for what content could be in books available in the school libraries in that system. They set up an algorithm that monitored the text in the book and what would not be allowed, basically sexual references and things like that.
I'm getting to a point here. In the election yesterday, I can't remember what district. Well, there's a school district somewhere that the board seemed to be leaning towards what most would characterize today as a woke kind of board. They were all ousted and replaced by a board or board members that seem to be more conservative in nature. And I'm saying conservative loosely. I'm talking about along the lines of these books and the languages and the things in these books. So here's what I'm getting at. In this country, I think the system is working. If you have a school board that is allowing certain books in there that you don't like, then what you do is you mount a campaign to replace that board to govern in a way that best fits your the way you think. And once a situation occurs where they take a book off the shelf or they put a book on the shelf, if someone believes that that is some sort of violation of free speech or whatever, then you file a lawsuit and you take it to court, and it goes through the court system, and a ruling is laid out. I think the system that we have, though imperfect, is working. That part of it is working in the way the founding fathers intended, I believe. You know, on its base. I know there's outside influences, lobbyists, whatever, politics, the media, I get it. But I don't know what you would have us to do.
I don't like the idea of school systems banning books just for, based on a lot of the standards I've seen for banning books, that they make some reference to sex, or especially for high school students. Now, if you're talking about elementary school students, obviously there's a different standard for elementary or middle school. But for high school students, I don't see all these books they're banning and things like that. It's, they're trying, what the right wing seems to be trying to do is they're trying to avoid any conversation about LGBTQIA plus issues in that community. They're trying to get that out of the schools, and they're trying to get out anything having to do with race or the history of race in the country. They're trying to get that out of.
I disagree on the race part, but we'll stick to the transformer plus or minus TR LGB. What are them letters you said?
The queer community.
The queers. I don't think that. I don't think I trust the school teachers to educate my child on those type issues. I would rather them just teach them how to read, write, add, multiply, divide, and leave the social issues to my parenting skills. That's the difference between me and you. You feel like you don't have the ability to teach your children that, and you rely on the government and the school system to tell you what they need to know, or tell them what they need to know, because either you don't want to have the conversation or you don't have time for it. I don't know what the case may be. I want to handle that myself. So I talked to Emmy. I talked to Charlie. So, I mean, it's just a difference in the way we want to raise our children, I suppose. But I believe the government ought to stay out of my family life. That's just the bottom line.
Well, some children who are in the schools have family members, have parents even who are either gay or even in some cases transgender. So when they are in school, it's, you know, the teachers have to acknowledge that some families are that way. Some children have two mothers, some children have two fathers, etc.
I said I'm going to go there. I'm going to use this as an example. I don't want to get into the race discussion necessarily, but if you want the teacher to be able to tell the students about the history of race, you're going to rely on that teacher to tell them the true story. And I think we've established that there's so many. See, there's people out there that think Thomas Jefferson was for slavery. They think he was. We know historically that he was adamantly opposed to slavery. But I guarantee you, if you ask most students just graduating high school, is Thomas Jefferson pro or anti-slavery? I bet you they say he's pro-slavery.
Well, Thomas Jefferson owned over 600 slaves until the day he died.
That's correct.
He lived 50 years after he wrote the Declaration of Independence. So if he was opposed to slavery, he had a strange way of showing it. And that stuff Joe Bakanovic said about it being illegal to emancipate slaves.
I don't want to get down in the weeds. If you study history and you actually read what Thomas Jefferson wrote and the slaves at the Jefferson plantation, if you read the words of the people who actually experienced it, you come to the distinct conclusion that Thomas Jefferson was adamantly opposed to slavery. Adamantly. That's not my words. That's not my words or not my opinion. That is the opinion of the slaves on his plantation and his writings prior to the Constitution or the slavery issue in the Constitution.
Well, he criticized the British government for bringing the slaves over from Africa. He blamed slavery, the existence of slavery, chattel slavery in the colonies, the British colonies, on the British government when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. He also criticized the king for arming slaves in the United States. And Jefferson was also very concerned about one of the reasons he didn't want to emancipate the slaves is because he was afraid there would be a slave rebellion like there was in Haiti, and the slaves would take over the United States. And so there was a lot of reasons he was concerned about emancipating slaves. Now you can say,
so let me just pretend you're a 17-year-old high school student. Let me just boil it down. Pretend you are a high school student, knowing everything you know now, knowing all that you just told me, knowing the accurate history of Thomas Jefferson. If you were graduating and I said, here's your diploma, Richard, exit question, yes or no answer only. Do you think Thomas Jefferson was for or against slavery?
Was he for or against slavery?
Yes or no? Hold on. No. Yes or no answer. Yes or no answer.
He kept his slaves.
Yes or no answer. Was Thomas Jefferson pro-slavery? Yes or no?
Like saying, is Donald Trump pro-adultery?
I'm asking you a question.
He's committed it many
See,
times.
you did manage to start getting me mad again because, again, like a typical shape-shifting liberal,
Thomas Jefferson was pro-slavery. He owned 600 slaves.
He was not.
He emancipated two during his whole lifetime.
He just wasn't. So my point to that is, I don't care. I knew you'd say that.
That would cost him money.
I knew you'd say that.
His wealth.
I knew you'd say that, and the answer you gave me is irrelevant. The point I'm making is that you are willing to allow a teacher to teach you their perception of slavery. So if the teacher says everything we just discussed, and that teacher's opinion was that Thomas Jefferson was against slavery, then you're going to go to the school board meeting, you're going to be pissed off, and you're going to start accusing the teacher of spreading misinformation or disinformation about it. So why not we do this? Why don't we just do this?
Some people take the historical position that Thomas Jefferson was against slavery and then present the reasons they believe that, and then present also the evidence that Jefferson did own over 600 slaves. He only
why he kept the slaves? You know what he said?
His wealth?
To protect them. If he'd have just turned, the biggest argument people like you have is, well, he didn't have to own them. He could have just let them go. You know what? He talked to his slaves according to his own writing and the writing of the slaves, the record of the slaves. They didn't want to leave Thomas Jefferson's plantation. He wanted to take care of them. He vehemently opposed slavery. Every vote that was taken up until the actual signing of the Constitution, the final or agreeing on the final draft of the Constitution as it relates to slavery, he opposed it every step of the way. And now all you've got to do is read the words of Thomas Jefferson, and you seem to reject the words of Thomas Jefferson, and you seem to reject the words of the slaves that occupied his plantation.
He could have ended slavery. The Constitution could have ended slavery.
He didn't have the votes. That was his aggravation. No, he didn't. He was outvoted.
He was outvoted.
Yeah, he adamantly opposed slavery. If you actually studied the history, you'd know that. Anyway, I got to take a break, Richard.
Most of the founders were in favor of slavery then.
I'm not saying that they were necessarily in favor. I would probably say yes to that. On balance, it wasn't that easy to give you that answer. But yeah, if you pin me down and say, give me a yes or no answer, were most of the founders pro-slavery? Yeah, at the time they were, due to the fear of economic collapse and some of the things you pointed out about a rebellion and a rise up. That's all legitimate discussion. But let me tell you what you can't do. Let me tell you what you can't do. You cannot spend the time that it would take to go through every element of the history of the founding of these United States. You can't do it in 4 years of high school. You can't. So what do? You just give them an overview and encourage them to go look and research it themselves. That's all you can do. But if we were to get down to the nuts and bolts over every single issue, when it specifically relates to history, we don't have enough time in the day to do it. You teaching them for what, an hour a day? That ain't gonna cut it, man.
Oh yeah, history is so complicated. I mean, it's severely complicated history.
Sure is. And then on top of that, when you got people spreading falsehoods and lies and miscalculations and putting stuff out there without being able to back it up, that muddies the water. Anyway, I got to go. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call.
Okay. All right, man.
229-469-1417. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm over and I got to go to the bathroom. We will be right back after the break.
Wide awake now? We're honored and humbled to share this time with you each and every day. Please consider liking, sharing, and spreading the word by telling others to tune in. Send them to freedomnetworks.com and they can choose their favorite way to enjoy the show. For now, back to Freedom with Steve Nichols. Go get them, Steve.
Back on Freedom with Steve Nichols, 229-469-1417 if you want to make a call or have a comment. Wade says the music during the breaks is too loud. Yeah, I get it, but I don't really know how to do anything about it. I'll try to fix that. I'll try to get it fixed. I know I've had that complaint several times, but 229-469-1417. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
What a maroon.
I call them morons.
Well, I was doing the Bugs Bunny version.
I got you.
Richard, if you're out there, post the links to the letters or documents where Jefferson said all those things about the slaves. I've read thousands of pages of his writing. I've yet to find that. I think what you just did was pulled another Biden. I got inflation down to negative 50%. Where'd you get that, Biden? The back of my head. Yeah. You're a moron, Marx.
Yeah, he is. It's just innuendo, and it's opinions, and it's false narrative. It's
not even opinions. In this case, it's lies.
I mean, that's true.
We know as a fact that Jefferson tried to free the slaves several times, but the laws at that time would not allow him to do so, because he had to ensure that the slaves would not be a financial burden on the people of the state at that time. And he didn't have the money. And the reason he didn't have the money is because he was paying his slaves a very good wage, and he went broke doing it. This is documented. We can prove this, Richard.
Yeah.
Why the heck? I hate people like this.
Well, the thing what I like to do is I like to read the words of the person we're talking to. All right. Now, granted, a lot of times the words coming or talking about, I should say, granted, the words that the person we are talking about are coming from them. And sometimes they may be talking out of one side of their mouth, and their actions may be doing something else. So the way you find out if that person's telling the truth or not is you go to the people he's talking about. So in this case, if you read the words of the slaves that were actually on the Jefferson plantation, they corroborate the notion that Thomas Jefferson was adamantly opposed to slavery. That's just a fact, and it's irrefutable. Anything else is a bold-faced lie.
Yes, Jefferson's own words, he was opposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we can't get anywhere in this country. Is we can't silence the voices that intentionally deceive and lie. And I mean lie. From the past history between me and him, I've already given him the proof of this.
Mm-hmm.
And he rejects it. He acts like I never provided those documents to him. Mm-hmm. I did it on the show early on when I was visiting with you.
Oh, yeah.
He's been given the proof that he's wrong. He willfully ignores it.
Mm-hmm.
It's David Barton wrote that book about the Jefferson lies. And the media rounded up and lied about what Barton was doing to shut down the book. And they even had the first printing halted. He rewrote a second book with it, addressing what they were doing. It's all documented.
Mm-hmm.
Everything Barton explains about Jefferson was documented, all of it. You can't refute the documentation. So until Richard brings us the citation of the letter or the government document where Jefferson is saying all this stuff about the slaves, until he does that, Richard's a liar.
Yeah.
And then when he provides it, I want to see those actual words by Jefferson in those letters or in those documents. I don't want to see, the slaves might have problems if we let them go. And I don't want Richard to say, see, right there, he says they're going to die, be rounded up, cause a whiskey rebellion or a revolt. I don't want Richard reading crap into it again like he always does. I want to see the actual words in the letter.
Yeah,
he's not going to be able to provide this. I haven't been able to find it.
Wikipedia.
I look for this stuff.
Yeah,
I can't find it.
Wikipedia is not a reliable source of information by no stretch of the imagination. But even Wikipedia dances around this subject on the side of our interpretation. Jefferson consistently spoke out against the international slave trade and outlawed it while he was president. He privately advocated gradual emancipation and colonization of slaves already in the United States rather than immediate manumission. Now, that ain't exactly right, but that still goes to the side that Jefferson was opposed to slavery. So even a liberal rag like Wikipedia is now finally starting to understand that Thomas Jefferson was against slavery.
Mm-hmm. And to your point about the majority, when he asked you the majority of the founders being in favor of slavery,
yeah,
they weren't. At the time of the Declaration, the reason that they had to take Jefferson's original objection to slavery out of the original draft, it was 2 states. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for all y'all folks, if I remember correctly, Georgia was one of them. I think it was Georgia and one of the Carolinas. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to make sure that the Declaration got signed. They needed unity to go against the Crown. So they did that. They accepted that in the Declaration. And then in the Constitution, it was, I think it might have been 5 states, but it was the Southern agricultural based states. And now, yes.
Yeah.
And we're not going to lie about this. It was because of the way
it was
they didn't
the
have
economy.
machines. Agriculture required manpower.
The economy. That's what I was alluding to in my commentary with him.
Yeah.
When I said that the founders were they were pro-slavery, it's not that they were for enslaving a human being. They just saw the fact that, look, we don't have tractors and we don't have machines. We have to depend on slaves to get cotton out of the field and do the work. So it was totally economic. That was what I was explaining to him.
But now the 3/5 clause, that was adopted because it would force the Civil War, or it forced us to eventually address the slave issue in a positive manner, positive as being to emancipate the slaves. Mm-hmm. Because had they not done, had the 3/5 clause not been in there, the South would eventually have been able to overrule everybody and force slavery on the whole nation instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Even Frederick Douglass, the slave, when he was freed, he originally was against the Constitution, said it was a slavery document until he read it and he realized what the 35th clause was. And then he told everybody it was the most liberty-minded document he'd ever found because he read it and understood it.
I personally,
and he became a very great advocate of this country and its founding ideals.
Yeah, personally, I just hate the entire conversation around slavery. And the reason I do is because we don't have slaves today. We took care of that. It's done and gone. And it just, it just seems to, in all honesty, let me just be honest and frank. Okay. If all the founders were white supremacists, racist, hated black people and loved slavery and wanted to found this country and make sure that we always had slaves, in the grand scheme of things, don't matter, because you know why? We don't have slaves today.
Amen.
So it's just a tool to divide. It's a tool to argue. It's a tool to keep
that's
us
exactly what it
shoot
is.
R or shoot
Yes.
D. And that's just why he does it. He joked about being a paid operative, but I wouldn't doubt if he was or was not.
That man just infuriates me because he never learns, which tells, in Richard's case, Richard's not stupid, folks.
No, he's not.
Richard
is
is proving
smart.
to you what he's doing is intentional.
Oh, no doubt about it. I'm let down with the conversation, though. Out of the gate, he told me that he was calling to make me mad. And he never was able to do it. And
he didn't get you mad. He got me angry.
Usually I'll get mad at him and I'll start screaming at him. And I was ready for it after a 2-month hiatus, and I'm let down now. So maybe he can try again later.
All right, brother. Well, y'all take care.
All right. We'll see you at 9:05, brother.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Tune in 9:05 right here. Don't go nowhere. Wherever you're listening, with the exception of Discord, go over to Facebook, freedomnetworks.com or YouTube and catch Road to Concord with Joe Bacanova coming on again at 9:05 Eastern time, 10:05 Central. Oh, crap. I hit the wrong button. That phone call, I know it was Sandy. So, Sandy, if you're trying to call, please call back. I hit the wrong button on you, Sandy. I'm sorry. Thank you for calling back.
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Turn your radio down. Turn your radio down behind us because I can hear my voice in the background.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I got you loud and clear.
Okay. Richard wanted me to answer him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to answer him in the way he thinks I'm going to answer him.
Okay.
I really feel sorry for him. I really need to pray more for him because with a mindset like that, that person is really lost in this world. He is really deceived. He has listened to the wrong voices. I personally will not listen to anything Beyonce or any of these other gangster rappers say and sing to degrade women. Is misogyny. It is filth beyond compare. And yes, Steve, we do have slaves in this country due to pornography and the porn
That's
industry.
different. That's
and
totally
the
different.
deviance.
That's totally different slavery than what we were discussing, though. I'm a
Oh, no, I'm
slave.
not talking
Yeah,
about. I don't even
I'm a
want to get into
slave.
that
You're a
part. I
slave.
want to say,
You're a slave. You're
I
headed to
want to
work. You're a slave to the system. You're headed to work right now. So there, yeah, sticking to the slavery thing. We're talking about white people owning black people, not any other kind of
right.
slavery.
I don't even want to get into the slavery of the past. But what I'm going to say is the porn is making slaves of women and children.
No doubt.
That are being trafficked and used as sex objects and being sold for money. And yes, pornography is a deviant in our country. And no, you cannot legislate evil. You can make laws to control different things that evil uses as a tool, but you're never going to outlaw it. You're never going to get a country to be moral anymore. Now, I am not going to get whatever he said I needed to do to get a man. I don't prostitute myself, and I don't whore myself. I don't fornicate, and I have got a great man in my life.
Good.
And he has not seen me without clothes on. He has not had sex with me. He respects me. And it's a whole lot more than somebody like Richard would do. And I'd rather have that than to have what he says is supposed to be so common in America. Now, if I had my druthers, not as a government, but as God, I'd wipe it all out.
Absolutely.
I'd wipe out humanity because humanity ain't worth wiping its foot on. Because we are a deviant nation. And we're a deviant world. We have no respect for Christ. We have no respect for God. He has all rights to wipe us out. Pornography, the stuff that's being taught in the schools, is teaching children how to have sex, how to have pleasurable sex, how to be homosexual sex. All of this stuff, sodomy, it is being taught in these books and it's in the libraries for little kids to get a hold of, middle school kids to get a hold of. High schoolers don't even need to have this crap in the school. Why do we think that the parents rose up in Loudoun County, Virginia, and all across this country because COVID exposed what's going on with our children and what these deviant teachers are teaching in our schools? These are not teachers who are there to teach the real history or math or English or science. These are teachers who are out there for their own deviant agenda to ruin our children and sexualize our children. And when our children are sexualized, they are targets to be abused by adults.
You said something. You said something that was pretty.
About this, then I get pissed because it's the truth, and people like Richard are sick.
You said something I found interesting. You said you made the statement, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that COVID helped expose some of these things because they shut the schools down and they started this online stuff. And I think that parents were actually able to see some of the stuff that the kids were learning at the school, and they started saying, wait a minute now. So in a way, COVID may end up being somewhat of a blessing in disguise, don't you think?
There's always a silver lining in every storm. It got exposed. God will expose, and He is exposing. It just takes the people who's got the discernment to understand it. People don't have discernment of what's true and what's almost true. Okay, they don't even know how to discern polar opposites of what truth and lies are. But discernment is actually discerning between what's really true and what's almost true. See, he wants to live his truth, not the absolute truth of what morality and natural law is about. He wants to live his truth. That's what America's all about. If you hear people today on TV and in the news and these programs like Oprah Winfrey, live your truth. Live your truth is going to put you in danger of hell. Okay? Living your truth makes you not be able to function in this world with a clear, concise mind and agenda. Because you're being fooled just like these poor kids out there being told you're a girl and your biological says you're a boy, and you're creating chaos in these children's minds. No wonder they're needing mental health today. No wonder they're confused in school. They are being manipulated, and I can't stand it. And no, as a president and as a country that where we are, God is all about free will. Okay, you have the right to believe, or you have the right not to believe. You send yourself one way instead of the other way. It is all up to you. That's it. You have the choice. In this country, you have the choice. And parents have the choice whether or not they want their children to hear and read and learn this crap in school, or they take them out and put them in a homeschool or in a Christian private school or even a private school where this crap's not being taught. But you see what I talked to y'all about yesterday, Christian school out there, private Christian school, says we do not tolerate sex of any kind out of our children in school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, either you can agree to their policy and put your kid in there, or you can take your kid out not send them there. That's free will.
Mm-hmm.
But you have got to be able to discern what is blatant, terrible pornography being taught in our schools. We are a taxpayer. We fund those schools, and we have a right. What is good and not good about teaching in our schools for our children? Get down to the STEM and arithmetic, math, science, English.
I think that's why we got to pay attention to what's going on in our schools locally. The good news, and I could be wrong. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know of any school locally in the Lowndes, Tift, Cook, Brooks, Colquitt, Lanier, just any school around here. I've not heard of any kind of teachings like that, thank God. And I believe that if it came to light that the school board officials, and I know the school board officials in Lowndes County, and I know the ones in Cook County, I don't see any of them, not any of them, putting up with some of the stuff that we hear in the national media. So I think what you've got to do is elect a school board that's going to watch over, like they did in the election yesterday, where they ousted the woke school board members and replaced them with some that hold a moral compass. So, I'm thankful that Richard started this conversation off with an accusation against you. And I'm going to ask you this. He seemed to think that if you were elected, just say elected president of the United States, that you try to pass a law banning pornography. And he said that was something the USSR would do. And he asked me, I think he asked me, or either I said, no, she wouldn't do that. As a Christian, and like you said earlier, if you had your druthers, that's exactly what you said. You just wipe pornography off the face of the planet, and so would I. But if you were elected president, I told him, I said, I believe she would adamantly uphold the Constitution of the United States, where and that it's free speech. I said at the same time, she'd use her bully pulpit to adamantly oppose pornography. And whether you're 18 or 55, she would encourage you not to do that. And you would preach about, like you've done this morning, about the dangers of pornography. Did you have any did I get anything wrong in my assessment of you as a person and then also as a elected official?
Absolutely. You know me. Everybody out there knows me. They know where I stand. And I would push for laws through the correct channels to see if we couldn't crush some of this, especially when it affects children. Hey, if it's all free speech and pornography, why are we arresting pedophiles and all and these pornographers on the internet for sharing child porn? Why are we doing that if it's all free speech? Why if it's all good? You know, what's wrong with a pedophile sharing pictures of a child being raped? What's wrong with that? That goes against that person's free speech and his right to be able to view that. You know, where do we draw the line? And thank God we're drawing the line with child porn.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still out there. You can get it.
Yep.
But that takes the internet, that takes Facebook, that takes the internet to take it down. But if it's all good, why are we arresting and charging all of these pedophiles and for these men showing up at these little girls' houses wanting to have sex with 13-year-olds? You know, where is that going against that person's right to go over there to that man and woman's house and right there and have sex with their 13-year-old daughter? Where's morality stand in all this? Where's natural law stand? Let me tell you something. When a child has been sexually abused, they have a problem with their self-esteem, how their confidence, what they are, who they are. It just totally throws them into a spin in their minds. It causes so many problems for these kids. Many take their lives. Many turn to prostitution and to promiscuity. They don't have any self-worth about themselves. And it is up to us adults to protect our children from being sexually innuated in our schools before they're old enough to even understand what sex is about. And I've got to go to work because I've got to go support those people who don't want to work.
Go get them, Sandy.
Have a great day.
All right.
Richard, you need to get on your knees next to your bed and you need to repent. If you call yourself a Christian, you are severely deceived, son. Seriously deceived. I would not want to be in your shoes come the day of judgment, son.
Well,
and this
he says
that you better examine yourself.
Yeah, he says he's not sick. He's just horny like Trump. That's what he said.
That tells you what kind of person he is.
He's got some problems.
And
Thank
I'm
you,
sure
Sandy.
He probably couldn't get it anyway.
Ah, see you, Sandy. I appreciate the call.
Love you guys.
All right, bye. 229-469-1417. Frankie Harper. It ain't very many times that I put up with being told to hush. In this instance, I'm not offended by it. But Frankie says, "Hush, Steve. Let her preach." I thought I did pretty good. 229-469-1417. What's on your mind? Trying to read some of these comments, see if I missed anything interesting. Tommy said we have no choice whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all can call in 229-469-1417 if you got anything to add or, subtract, multiply, or divide, which is what we should be doing in school, right? History is a big subject. You can't teach I don't know. Maybe I think our problem is during the learning process. It's easy on a math equation, adding, multiplying. That's all pretty easy, but it is very tough to go through all of the elements of history without having an opinion on the subject matter. You can't have an opinion on A plus B equals C. It just is. So that complicates it. You have to lean on the teacher to opine on that. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What is it?
Man, did I say something wrong?
Mm-hmm. Well, did your mouth open?
I didn't hear all of what Joe said. I'm going to go back and listen to what all he said.
You ain't gonna hear it. You ain't gonna hear it when you
listen.
listen.
Slaves overall.
You ain't gonna hear it when you listen to him.
Huh?
You said you didn't hear what all Joe said. If you
No,
go back and
I
listen,
logged off for a
you're not
second
going to
there, and I
hear it
logged
when
back
you
on, so I
listen.
missed part of what he said.
You're not going to listen to it. You're not going to hear it. Even if you do listen, you're not going to hear it. Don't waste your time.
Well, I agree that Jefferson, and I guess I didn't do a whole lot of research on it.
Obviously.
Going back in time as to how well Jefferson treated slaves. I think probably treated his slaves better than most slave masters did. He treated his slaves fairly well. And that whole, the whole process of emancipation, some people wanted to send them to Africa to a colony and all this and that. There's all kind of different things with that regard. And you're right about as far as some states wanting to end slavery, other states didn't, and all that, which eventually led to a civil war and all that stuff. But to what Sandy was saying, now Sandy really didn't answer your question. When you asked her the question, all of a sudden she started talking about child pornography, which is illegal and should be illegal. Of course, child pornography should be illegal, but that's not the same thing as pornography that adults produce and adults consume and watch. That's something completely different. And she didn't say whether she would ban that or make it illegal, as well as certain music like Beyonce song and other things. What kind of
she wouldn't. I'm telling you,
she
she
be
wouldn't.
in favor of?
She wouldn't. But you made a statement, I think it was on Facebook, that you said that there is no pornography in schools. You stand by that statement?
Teachers can't do things pornographic in school or present pornography in school.
No.
I don't know what Sandy's saying.
Is there any
Sandy
pornographic books in schools right now?
No, there's not any pornographic, not pornography. No,
there
are books that
Fairfax
mention
County
sex.
Times.
There's sex education books.
Let me just give you some facts here. This is what we're into here. Fairfax County Times. Fairfax County Public Schools announced last week that they would reintroduce books with pornographic material, reaffirming their ongoing commitment to providing diverse, and this is in quotes, reaffirming their ongoing commitment to provide diverse reading materials that reflect the student population. So now let me just tell you this right here. I'm reading it from an article in the Fairfax County Times where the author of the article is quoting the Fairfax County Public Schools. Again, I'm going to read it to you. Fairfax County Public Schools announced last week that, quote, they would reintroduce books with pornographic material, reaffirming their ongoing commitment to provide diverse reading materials that reflect the student population, close quotes. So if I believe the words that are coming from the actual mouths of the people who are making the decisions, then I'm only left to believe that we currently do indeed have pornographic material in the county school. What say you?
What say I is that pornography should not be allowed in school libraries.
So you are against the decision of the school system in Fairfax County. You think that they should immediately remove the pornographic material that they have reinstated off the shelf of this in this library?
Yeah, there should be no pornography in schools. But I know what pornography is. I know what pornography is, and it shouldn't be allowed in schools.
So you agree that we shouldn't have pornography in schools? What's the problem?
Yes, I agree. We should not have pornography in schools.
Okay, so you're going to vote Republican and help me rid the school system of pornographic material. Is that what you're saying? Or is it not as important as killing a baby?
I don't know of anybody who is in favor of pornography being in schools.
Obviously,
I don't know of anybody who's in favor of that. Now,
I'll tell you one. Fairfax County Public Schools are in favor. They're in favor of it.
They're calling pornographic.
Well, I mean, they obviously believe
sexually explicit, maybe, or maybe they mean sexual.
They believe it's pornographic. Again, I don't know nothing else to do but take the people at the word that said it. I mean, if you tell me something, I believe you believe what you tell me, or should I not?
And Sandy was talking about sex education. I believe in what's called pleasure affirmative sex education, where you can't tell a child or a student in school when you're teaching them sex education that sex isn't pleasurable. It's not.
Why
fun.
would
It's
you
not
teach
pleasurable.
them sex? What is your why would you teach them that at all? Why would you even get into that? Why don't you let the parents of the church take care of that?
Well, children need to know what what's going on with their bodies, why they're feeling
I would
this way,
agree.
why they're feeling
Who's
that way.
better? Who is better to tell me or tell my child than me or the child's mother? Who's better than that? Who's better to tell them that than the church? Who's better to tell that than their legal guardian? Who's better to tell them that than the person raising them or the group that's raising them? Why in the
You're
world would
depending
we
on parents
leave
to
that?
do things they may not do.
Why would I depend on the school system to do it in a way that's contrary to the way I would teach it? That's asinine.
How would you teach it?
The way I teach it now.
I mean, you need to teach students in school what sex is, all about it, so they're educated, so they know the consequences of sex, the dangers of sex, and acknowledge that, yes, sex
So
is
you don't think
pleasurable,
I'm capable
but
of
it's
doing that?
also
You don't think I'm
other things.
capable of doing that? You don't think I can do it? You think the school should do it? You don't think parents? So basically, what you did was fail. How many children you got?
3.
You failed as a parent. I mean,
And
obviously.
you're trusting parents to teach children about sex and all, and
You don't
things
trust
like that.
yourself, do you, Richard? I'm sorry, man. What happened to your daughter? Did she get knocked up at 14 because you didn't tell her about the birds and the bees?
No, but my next door neighbor, when I was 10 years old in 1969, when she was 15, she did get knocked up by her boyfriend. I guess her dad didn't teach her sex good enough, because the Valdosta school system sure as hell didn't teach her. That her father didn't teach her neither. He was busy. I guess he was too busy to teach her, and she got knocked up at age 15. Had a baby.
I get it.
You know,
So,
they
but
sent her to
you're
Albany.
supporting
Abortion
your
was illegal
argument.
in 1969. She had the baby, then the baby died.
You're supporting your argument that parents are unfit to teach their children, and the best person to do that is the federal government.
The schools should teach children about all kinds of things, including sex. Sex exists.
See,
You know,
that's
these
we
kids
just
have hit puberty.
we just
know?
we just disagree. I think I'm better capable. I'd rather leave that in my hands instead of theirs. But
You
I
may be
appreciate
better
the call.
capable.
I
But there are
appreciate
a
the
lot
call.
of parents out there who aren't capable. It's
I'm
not
sad.
about the parents who
I'm
are gonna
sad
do
that
a
you
very
failed.
good job of teaching their children about sex and teaching their children about sexual responsibility and the dangers and this and that. That's great when parents are going to do that. But what about the parents who are too busy? What about the single parent households? What about what about the kids who are living on the streets? You know, somebody's got to teach kids, and you can't just depend on parents to do that. That's like we're saying, why not let the parents teach the kids mathematics? Why not just let the parents teach the kids mathematics or
I'll tell you
or
why.
biology or
I'll
whatever?
tell you why. I'll tell you why I don't I'm not a proponent of teaching mathematics, science, English to the children. I'm a proponent of a hired professional to teach somebody that, because I'm not equipped to teach that. I am, however, equipped to teach my child about sex.
Well, that's good. A lot of parents aren't, though.
So
Would
shouldn't
you
they be
agree
able
that
to?
a lot of parents aren't equipped to do that?
Sure. Shouldn't they be allowed to choose whether or not they want that sort of education, or should it just be imposed on all of us?
I mean, there's nothing. What is wrong with sex education? What is wrong with teaching a child about sex? What's wrong with that? Why are you against that? Why are y'all on the right against sex education?
Because I don't want some other idiot telling my child about sex. Simple as that. You do. You couldn't do it effectively. You failed. You look back on your life at your 3 children and say, man, I wish the government would have taught them, because I didn't do a good job of it. Is that what happened to you? Why do you think they're
They were
better
taught
equipped to do it than
sex
you?
education in school.
Well, that's good for you, because you weren't able to do it. I am.
I was able to do it and did to a certain extent, to a certain extent, sure. But a lot of parents don't. They simply don't, or they
Again, if they
too
can't
busy
do it,
to
they
do
should
it or
seek
don't think
help.
about it or whatever.
They should seek help. So anyway,
And then some parents might say, hey, look, sex,
hey Richard,
don't do it.
Richard,
Do not have sex.
just for old
Period.
time's sake,
That's the end of it. Do not have sex. Well,
just for old time's sake. 229-469-1417. I used to have a running meter how many times I hung up on him at Black Crow. It was very entertaining. Yeah, that's what I was getting out of it. Joe said, listen to Richard. He's saying the state can raise children better than parents. That's what he was saying. So anyways, anyone remember Jocelyn Elders wanting to teach masturbation to kindergartners? I do remember that. That good example as to why I don't want the school system teaching my child about sex. Anyway, 10 minutes left. 229-469-1417. Let me just refresh right quick, make sure I have not missed any late breaking important news. Doesn't appear that I have. I don't know. Unvaxxed Navy sailors stuck in gruesome limbo. Trump celebrates all wins. 26-0, it says. Unvaxxed Navy sailors stuck in gruesome limbo. My little clicker here's got jammed up now on the that website. Here's some breaking news. I don't know if I can get it to click on there. Len Dawson, Hall of Fame quarterback, led the Chiefs to a Super Bowl win, is dead at 87 years old. He was a good one, no doubt about it. He is an NFL Hall of Famer. He has passed away, according to late breaking news. What else was on here? Diplomat accused of rape isn't first to get off scot-free by invoking immunity. Evidently, there was a diplomat that had invoked diplomatic immunity to get off of a rape charge. Very sad indeed. Let's see. John Quest, that is the exact argument the left will eventually use against the right as each younger generation becomes even more indoctrinated in this new system. David Flowers, my dad was a Church of God preacher. My parents wouldn't even mention the word sex. So in a way, some parents aren't even able to get the courage to even say the word, much less discuss it. I totally accept the fact that not all households are equipped to teach sex education or to have the conversation, to have the nerve, the courage. Maybe it's a single parent household. Maybe it's a crowded orphanage. I get it. So maybe there's a place for elective sex education overseen by the local school board. I get it. All I'm saying is I'm not going to have my child go through a mandated sex education course that I don't know nothing about. I'm going to want to see it. I don't want it in there, period, because teachers do a great job, but I want the teacher to stick to reading, writing, arithmetic. History's okay. As long as you just read the history, you teach them the history. In 1776, the country, declared its independence. July 4th, 17th. You can teach all the necessary dates. You can say we had slavery, we ended it. You can do whatever you want. But I don't like the concept, the theory, the opinion. Not at the high school level. I just don't. Or elementary or middle school. Good morning, caller. You're on the Valdosta Transmission Hotline. What's on your mind?
Good morning.
What's up, Jimmy?
Richard is demonstrating two things to you this morning.
What's that?
Why the communists have government schools as their 10th plank of communism, and why the government should not be in any way involved in our education system in this country.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I'm no longer on Discord, so
you said
something has happened to me there similar to what happened to you on Facebook. It's a long, drawn-out thing. I'll tell you about it later when you get off. I'll talk to you on the phone.
Yeah, well, Larry, I know you're listening. We need to get our app up and running as fast as possible because it's.
Find out if any of your other listeners on Discord have had the same thing happen. I was just I was accepting friend requests yesterday, and all of a sudden they demanded that I verify that I was who I was because they said I was doing unusual activity, and it got all the way to me trying to change my password this morning so I could get back in, and then it would reject anything I tried to use as a password. It's like it was by design so that I couldn't get back into my account.
Yeah. Well, I don't like Discord. We're going to try to make it go away sooner rather than later.
Yeah. The problem that I have is it's the only place I can listen to you effectively. I mean, Facebook keeps cutting out, and on the Freedom Works, I can't get it to play at all.
That's probably a connection problem because there's a bunch of people logged on watching everything, fine. So it's got to be a connection problem. It wouldn't be on this end. It's got to be over there somehow.
Yeah, it's probably the internet, but yeah. I mean, Discord worked good on it. It's
Yeah.
just, it's frustrating. I'm
The
about
app-
as angry this morning then as I can remember being in a while.
The app should
dealing with
work.
that
The app should work fine, and we'd already have an app, but the app is a money issue. Okay, it's just we got to see what it's going to cost, how to build it. There's companies out there to do it, and Larry's going to work on that. He's in San Diego right now listening, but when he gets back, maybe we can make that a priority and just get rid of Discord altogether.
All right, brother.
Hey, did you catch any fish last night?
I caught 3 and missed 2 after dark on the jitterbug. One of the 2 that I missed, Lightning took my rod and reel out of my hand.
Really?
Yep. None of the 3 that I caught were big. They were all about a pound. They were small fish.
Yeah.
But I learned 2 things last night. I learned that after dark, the bass in Ray's Mill Pond will hit a jitterbug if you can play it in those pads.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It's chock full of it. Yep.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, Steve. Those fish in there, when they hit a jitterbug after dark in that lake, they hit it very, very, very violently.
Mm.
If I can ever catch the big fish turned on in there, it is going to be a blast, because the first one I caught last night hit right at the boat. That fish wasn't much over a half pound. I like to come out of the boat when that fish hit that jitterbug.
He was after it, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just blew up on it. Now, I heard at least 2 very large bass wallering in the lily pads out there last night. So they're there.
Yeah. Ray's Mill
That
Pond,
lake's full of fish.
it is. It's produced some big fish. It's a tough lake to fish during the daytime because it's crystal clear, but I imagine the night fishing would be the way to go.
It is. It is. And there's a spot way back in the back in kind of the center of the lake where the pads thin out. It's not a very big area, but it's about the only place that you can fish a jitterbug at night effectively, other than the boat lake.
Gotcha.
Fishing in the boat trail. And actually, all but one of the hits that I got last night was in the boat trail. I only caught one little small bass out there in that center place that I found. But beautiful lake, man. It's an amazing lake. I can't decide if I want to go back there Friday or go to Lake Ammonia. I'm going to fish Friday night too.
Tough choices. All right, Jimmy, appreciate the call, brother.
All right, see you.
All right, see you, man. All right, 229-469-1417. 2 minutes to go. Y'all stay tuned for Joe's show, 9:05. You can get it right here on Freedom Networks with an X.com, YouTube, or on Freedom with Steve Nichols on Facebook. So y'all support Joe. He does his own thing. He does it his way. He takes calls, so you feel free to call, and he'll take that call and discuss anything on your mind. I think he probably, he'll tell you the rules. Y'all just listen in, and so I appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. Looking at some of these things, the Discord. I don't know, man. The same thing happened to me. I can't even get on Discord anymore. Same thing. It happened to T-Rex. It's I don't know why it's happening, but we're going to get people on a more dependable app based service at some point. We'll try to do it as quickly as we can. The app is a game changer. When you have an app that you download the Freedom Networks app and it takes you to the show. Of course, it's an audio only, and if you want to comment, Facebook, YouTube, and then we're also looking at some other things. Larry and I, when he gets back, we're gonna have a hard conversation about Rumble and see what it will take to get on there and get our costs streamlined and make sure that we're covered. And we're going to grow. We keep growing. It's getting bigger every time. It was bigger today than it was yesterday. I can see the numbers right in front of me. So, you got so many countries, so many states, and so many people, and that number grows every day. That's what you want. But appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, right here on Freedom with Steve Nichols. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the morning.
We at Freedom with Steve Nichols want to thank each and every one of you for listening. Together, we will protect, defend, and promote the freedom as our founding fathers envisioned. We believe in the spirit of the Declaration of Independence and strive to protect that spirit daily. please thank and utilize the goods and services of our sponsors and advertisers every chance you get. For now, we bid you farewell. Have a great day.